Right now, the pressure is building for Sligo Rovers and Shamrock Rovers in the FAI Ford Cup live final.
Champions. Sligo Rovers get the breakthrough.
It's Mulligan, it's panic, it's a goal! Larkin's shot and a super goal!
Live from the Aviva Stadium, Lansdowne Road, is the 2010 FAI Ford Cup final between Sligo Rovers and Shamrock Rovers. The showpiece of the domestic football season has an impressive new home. And of course today it's bedecked in the red and white of Sligo Rovers. And here they are, arriving at the ground a short time ago, led out by their inspirational manager, Paul Cook. Fans are turning out in force for this cup final, and there'll be no shortage of the green and white of Shamrock Rovers. They've had a fantastic season so far. They're already the 2010 league champions. Today, they're going for the double. Good afternoon, and you're very welcome to the Aviva Stadium on Lansdowne Road for the 2010 FAI Ford Cup final. And you'd have to say, if you were allowed hand-pick a final pairing, you could not do much better than selecting the newly crowned league champions against the informed side of the moment. So the prospects of an entertaining final are certainly very good this afternoon. And even if the football doesn't live up to expectations, hopefully our panel certainly will. So absolutely no pressure at all on Tony McDonald, Roddy Collins and Richie Sadler. Good afternoon, gentlemen. As I said, it's the Blue Riband event for the domestic game. And Tony, am I right to suggest that you probably couldn't get two better teams for this particular final?
Absolutely, Peter, and also the occasion itself, wonderful day. Beautiful atmosphere. I think, we're expecting, 30,000 people, great stadium, showpiece event, and as a player, this is the type of occasion that you strive all your career for, and for many people it passes them by, certainly passed me by. I'd love to be out there today, and it's a great opportunity for these players who probably, the two sides for the guts of this season have been the two best sides that I would say I've seen play. Rovers for the early parts of the season and middle of the season, Sligo certainly from the summer on. So it's a great occasion, and hopefully it lives up to expectations.
Yeah, Roddy, and you can sense from talking to people involved in both clubs that they're really looking forward to it, probably particularly because it's here at the Aviva, a fantastic setting.
Absolutely, and both clubs have achieved this season. Sligo Rovers have won domestic trophy, Shamrock Rovers are the league champions, so the pressure's off both sets of supporters, both sets of players and both managers. The occasion is fantastic because it's the Aviva Stadium, as you say. I think it's going to be a bumper crowd. It's a fantastic day. You've got possibly the best footballing team in the league against the league champions. So for the neutral, it's a fantastic spectacle as well.
Yeah, Richie, it certainly has all the ingredients for not only a great day, but hopefully great football as well, because we have two good footballing sides in this final today.
We do. I think a lot of us, having seen Sligo beat Bows in the semi-final, thought that performance in itself was the best, certainly in a footballing sense, that we've seen from any team all season. Sligo repeat that, today we're in for a treat. But as I said, Rovers, they are league champions. I thought they limped over the line a little bit. They're not coming into the final in any great form, but this is a cup final. It doesn't matter what's gone before. Hopefully it'll be a cracker.
Yeah, great for the two managers as well, Roddy. But of course, Paul Cook has the advantage because he was here, not here at this particular stadium, but it was in Tala last year. How beneficial is that experience for the manager preparing his team?
It's vitally beneficial and it's vitally important because, like everything else in life, experience is key. And they were here last year. You see, when you come to a cup final, Peter, the football takes a back seat for some reason. You know, it's razzmatazz. There's a lot of profile on the occasion. The supporters come out of the woodwork, so sometimes you can be lost in the build up to it. So for Paul, he will realise that to keep the players focused on the job at hand, which is the football end of it. And as a manager working in a cup final, the easiest job you have is the football end of it. You know, because I mean, when you get to the final, the players don't need motivation. You've got to take them down the peg maybe, but motivation doesn't come into it. The toughest job is picking your starting 11. Honestly, Peter, I remember, you know, picking in cup finals, you're looking around, you can only pick 11. You genuinely want to give everyone a game. You genuinely do because of the occasion. There's families there, the razzmatazz, as I said, and just a general, it's a one-off occasion that, as Tony said, in your life you might never get a chance to do it.
Okay, well, the cup final is always particularly special for the players involved, and unfortunately not everyone makes it due to injury or suspension, and that's the situation that Dan Murray of Shamrock Rovers and indeed Matthew Blinkhorn of Sligo have had to face up to in recent weeks. But needless to say, they're here to enjoy the occasion as much as they can, and pitchside for us today is Tony O'Donoghue. And Tony, I believe you'll be catching up with the players who unfortunately are missing out on what is a great occasion.
Yeah, I'll be talking to them a little bit later on. It's really unfortunate, and with the crowds coming into the Aviva Stadium, well, Dan Murray hasn't managed to make it here yet. Matthew Blinkhorn is here, very, very upset, as is Richie Ryan, of course. But Sligo Rovers have made the two changes, and Danny Ventre comes into midfield in place of Richie Ryan, and that's important for them. I mean, he's captaining the side as well, so always likely to be a starter, Danny Ventre. Owen Doyle plays up front instead of Matthew Blinkhorn for Sligo Rovers. Richard Brush, by the way, is one of 7 substitutes on the bench. I just checked with Jerry Carr. He broke a wrist not so long ago. He's unlikely to take any part. In fact, I'm almost certain he won't play, but he is named on the bench, so a nice gesture there by Sligo. As for Shamrock Rovers, well, they had a few decisions to make as well. Aidan Price and Gary Twigg, their talisman top scorer, were doubtful coming into the game. Price hasn't made it. He's only on the bench. Twigg has. He starts certainly. So a bit of a reshuffle for Shamrock Rovers. Their captain, Stephen Rice, will play at right full back. So Pat Flynn moves in alongside Craig Sivis, and that's in the heart of the Shamrock Rovers defence. So that's the team news for you. The preparation, I have to say, from both teams has been very, very professional. Would you believe Shamrock Rovers played a game kicking off at 3:30 last Sunday in order to give players the acclimatisation, if you like, the notion of what it would be like to start a game at 3:30. They've been away at the Johnstown House Hotel all weekend. They even came here last Wednesday to get used to the Aviva Stadium. Sligo, on the other hand, were offered that opportunity on Friday. They decided they wanted to stay down in Sligo until yesterday, so they've come up and they haven't seen the stadium yet. Some of the players are suggesting that it may be an advantage. Some senior players I spoke to not have come here, not have too many nerves. Remember, Gavin Pearce played here for League of Ireland selection, didn't have his greatest game. Indo played here as well, and Richie Ryan, who won't be involved today, had a part in that as well. So all to play for. Looking forward to what should be a marvellous occasion here, pitchside at the Aviva.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Tony. Well, interesting to hear the team news there, which we just received from Tony. As far as Sligo Rovers were concerned, we knew the big names that were missing, Richie Ryan and Matthew Blinkhorn. First of all, Tony, how big a miss are they?
Oh, huge. I mean, Richie Ryan, player of the year, you know, fantastic. He links the play up between defence and attack, spreads the ball, keeps his foot and passes it well. And Blinkhorn is the talisman. You know, he's really come into his own this year. Leads the line very well, very strong. And since, I would say, July on, has been an inspiration for them. So huge, a huge departure, I think, for Sligo today. And also, you got to look at the reasons why. I think we really have to look at this ruling. O'Grady missed the cup final last year because of too many yellow cards picked up, and you know that can be 4 over a whole season for a midfield player, or 5 cards. I think it really needs a close look in the close season, because players missing out on an occasion like this because of that over the guts of a season is just not acceptable.
OK, well, Sligo Rovers centre half Gavin Pearce, as was mentioned by Tony, has already enjoyed the highs and indeed endured the lows that any season can bring. But needless to say, he hopes that this season ends on the up.
Svan Park. Pearce got a little bit fortunate there. Oh no!
Oh no! Oh, this disaster.
What a way to register the first goal in the new stadium.
Damien wanted us to play football, and that was in my mind, and I think the right thing at the time would have been to kick him to Rose Head, but I seen 3 of our players and I tried to get it to them, and I changed my mind, and just before I knew it, he was on me, and it could have went anywhere. It hit off his shin and went into the top corner, but that ball could have went anywhere. Just one of those unlucky things. We were back in Wayne Rooney and Michael Owen. They played together for England. You know, they're 2 of the best strikers in the world. You know, so it wasn't going to be an easy game for anyone. And I thought we'd done okay.
Rooney trying to get the shot away. Still Wayne Rooney. Pearce recovered well.
Do you still have nightmares about last year's final?
Yeah, it's sort of, I think I've gotten over it a bit now because we're in another final straight away. But it was hard to get over for a while, you know, even through this season. We've been just striving on to hopefully reach another final, and the fact that we've got here now is a bit of relief, and hopefully we can go one step further and lift that cup.
Tell me about the semi-final win over Bows.
We weren't really troubled with it. I don't think they had many shots on the goal.
Challenge this time by Pearce.
As a defender, I'm going to get tackled in, you know.
Pearce there. Oh, what a tackle!
My skill is to tackle and defend. We passed it well, and then I was lucky to get the goal then as well. I don't know, capped off a good day. As a player, you want to play in the best games. As I said, I've been lucky to play in the Aviva this year for the big game against United, and this is another big game. It's going to be 28,000 to 30,000 people there. You know, the belief is there, the spirit's there. So hopefully go on now, one more game left. We've been doing it, we've had a lot to play for in the last few weeks with Europe, so every game has been a cup final. It's going to be a great game, great occasion, and the best team will win on the day.
Yes, Gavin Pearce there, who got that all-important goal against Bows in the semi-final. He's not the only key player in the Sligo lineup this afternoon, because we know what Joseph Ndo can bring to the party, and normally if he plays, it can be quite a party, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sligo are a technically sophisticated side. They play with a fluidity and flexibility that you don't naturally associate with teams in our league. And I would say that's usually more of a rigid system, and Sligo don't play that way. And Doe brings him something different. When he joined earlier in the season, he joined a little bit late. Sligo were struggling. They'd drawn a lot of games. I think they'd drawn 7 out of their first 12 games, lost 3 of those. So he brought something different to the table and created that I guess, creative spark that was missing. Huge player for them, a bit of an enigma. Not many managers seem to be able to get the best out of him over long periods of time. He seems to spend 1 or 2 seasons at each club he's with. But certainly Paul Cook is getting the best out of him at the moment, and he's a joy to watch, I have to say.
Yes, he could be a key man for Sligo Rovers this afternoon, Joseph Ndo. But Roddy, on the younger side of things, I suppose we look at players like Gary McCabe. He's been impressive this season.
Yeah, I like the kid. I think on this occasion you worry about young players. I don't think you'd have a problem with him. He's a feisty little player. He's technically gifted. He's very comfortable on the ball, very confident. From a set piece, as you see there, he can finish them off. He's long range shooting his goal. You're going to see clips here of his ability to finish off chances, but that's only a small part of his game. His ability to get on the ball and show great courage on the ball, both feet, left or right, he can strike them. But I like him. He's concentrated, he's feisty, and for me, I think he'll enjoy the occasion.
Only one worry, Roddy. He not only wears white boots, he wears white shoes as well.
I don't like players that wear white boots, but the kid is on up in white shoes. I'm a bit concerned now.
Although it does show he's confident.
His mother would kill him, by the way. There's grass on them.
But Gary McCabe, what about the selection, Richie, from the Sligo point of view this afternoon? Were there any surprises in that team as far as you were concerned in the absence of Blinkhorn and Ryan?
Well, I think first of all they've dealt publicly very well with the 2 suspensions. Tony said there, this ruling, which by common consensus is a nonsense. Ryan and Blinkhorn should have been available. They've brought in Doyle and Ventre. Would have been the choices that I would have made, to be honest. So no real surprises there.
Okay. Well, success in the FAI Cup is woven into the rich tapestry of Shamrock Rovers' great history, but it's been all of 23 years since they last lifted the trophy, and far too long as far as many Hoops fans are concerned, and Pat Byrne was an integral part of that team back in '87.
Well, we just won the league, so we're going for a treble double sort of thing. The Dog were playing well at the time, and so it was going to be a good final. It's a great time for any footballer.
And the penalty's been awarded.
When you lose a cup final, it's very, very hard. And I even felt sorry for those that day, you know. And it happened to us a good few years later against UCD. So I know the feeling of winning and losing, and it's a horrible feeling to lose.
Larkin's shot and a super goal!
We turned up that day and played exceptionally well, and you know, great result for us really. It's not just only the cup that we won the 3 cups there in a row. It was the 4 leagues as well, and there was very, very good players in the league at the time. It's hard to believe that was the last time we were all together, you know. Very good times. Yeah, it's real fantasy stuff because since the stadium was opened, Rovers have looked a different team and a different club. Michael O'Neill's come in and done a fantastic job. Did really well last year. Has done exceptionally well this year. People might say about, you know, the win the league, they fell over the line, which they did do. But you know, the best team wins the league. I expect a kind of open game. I expect that, you know, as people say, Sligo are the form team, which they probably are, but cup finals doesn't always go to form. It's a huge occasion in anybody's sporting life. I think it'd be a great game for the fans, really. That's who I think. And I just hope the two managers, because they're open, you know, they like to win games. They both go out to try to win every game. I just hope that the players respond and respond hopefully to the fans that are going to be there, which will be a good crowd, and we get a great game.
Yes, and he'd certainly dressed this stage very well indeed. Great player in his time, Pat Byrne. Hard to think that it's been that long since Shamrock Rovers have reached a final, but they've got some big players who can rise to the big occasion, Richie, and I suppose none more so than Gary Twigg.
None more so, yeah. I mean, we're probably running out of ways to praise him now. He's been here 2 years. He got the PFA Player of the Year in his first year here last year. For the second year in a row, he's top scorer. This is a goal he got against Bows earlier in the season, but there's been plenty of games. I mean, we know how prolific he is in front of goal, but there's been a lot of games where he doesn't appear to be involved in games, and I think people have been harsh dismissing him, say that he goes too quiet, but he does a huge amount of work. And if you keep your eye off him for any amount of moment, this is the last game against Bray. This goal helped him to win the league. So many players in this position would have panicked. He waited for the defender to hold his legs and put him through. He's a top player. Does a lot of work, which, as I said, he's not always given the gratitude for, but scores hugely important goals very often for Rovers.
Yeah, there was a slight injury worry prior to the final about Gary Twigg, but I mean, I think even if he's 90% fit, he was always going to be picked, wasn't he?
Absolutely, and I mean, his statistics are unbelievable. Last year, when he was the top marksman in the league, his goals per game ratio was 0.68 in the league. This year it's 0.76 in a season when he hasn't been fully functioning. You know, he hasn't been fit in every game he's played. Those stats are off the scales, they're unbelievable, so it's great to have him on the park today.
Yeah, and Roddy, he's not the only Shamrock Rovers player who's been hitting the back of the net on a fairly regular basis this season. What about Billy Dennehy, another key player for him?
He's a great kid. When I went to Cork, Billy was there, and the first thing I noticed was his honesty, his willingness to work hard. You'll see him scoring goals here, but like McCabe, you know, he can score from set pieces, open play. Like McCabe, he's a very enthusiastic player. He's a workhorse. His energy is unbelievable. He will give you a great outlet. He will give you defensive duties in front of your left back, and his enthusiasm and willingness to achieve in the game and honesty will shine through in every game. I'm sure if you look at the stats on him, his game time has probably been up there with the best in the league this season.
Yeah, a very talented player, Billy Dennehy. As far as the Shamrock Rovers selection is concerned, Richie, are you a little bit surprised maybe that Aidan Price hasn't started? Now, I know he hasn't been training to full effect in the lead up to the final.
Yeah, well, he was one of the two doubts that Michael O'Neill had coming into the game. Obviously, we know Twigg has made it. He's opted for Flynn instead, which I think the absence of Bleakhorn maybe contributed to that decision. Maybe he's probably not fit enough. Michael O'Neill is the only one who knows. I mean, he knows how fit he is, but also will know the mental state of the player, as to whether he's prepared in the right way.
When you're coming to select for such an important game, you can't take a gamble on a striker. You know, you'll hope, because a striker can get through a game, particularly a goal scorer like Twigg, without too much endeavour. You know, he can time his runs, he can pick his runs, but with a defender, you're very exposed if he's carrying an injury, and psychologically it can be a major problem. And I'm sure Tony could fill in on that one of playing at the back. There's no room for error, especially in a cup final.
Yeah, well, that's how the Sligo Rovers team will line up at the start of the game, and Shamrock Rovers, What about that, Tony? No real surprises?
Not really, but I wonder, will Chambers actually start on the right, or will he tuck into the centre? Then he go out on the right wing and Stewart drop back into a left wing position and play a 4-5-1 formation until they feel their way into the game. Sometimes we see that from Michael O'Neill's sides, and I wouldn't be surprised if they line up that way today, or maybe change it at some point in the game. But a very attacking lineup as well.
Yeah. Well, both managers have already achieved this season. Paul Cook leading Sligo to the EA Sports Cup and third in the league. Michael O'Neill guiding Shamrock Rovers to their first league title in 16 years. Well, Tony O'Donoghue spoke with both managers just a short time ago.
Paul, you've had to plan for the final without two of your most important players, Richie Ryan and Matthew Blinkhorn. What have you done?
Pick two others. Now we get on with it. It's gone. Lads aren't going to play in the final. We've got a great squad. Had a great year and we can't wait to play the final today. We really feel it's going to be a special occasion. Stadium's magnificent, preparations have gone great, and let's get it on.
Now, the players that have come in, what do you expect of them?
I expect them to play well. I expect them to be committed and to perform and work their heart out for the club and the town. We've had a long season like Shamrock Rovers, and both teams have had good success this year. I feel it's a great curtain raiser. Yeah, curtain raiser is the wrong one, Tony, isn't it? That's the beginning or the end. I believe it's a great end of a season game. With the FAI Cup at stake, which is massive to both clubs, and let's hope for a good game.
You were in the final last year, only to lose, of course. Have you done anything differently in the build-up to this one?
Not greatly, Tony. I think clubs will have a certain way of preparation, and you stick to what you like and what you do. I do believe on the day cup finals, luck has to go your way, and little things happen in a game that'll help you. If we get a bit of the rub of the green today, the result might be different. We can't influence a lot of things. We can only influence what we do. And we want to go out and we want to be dead positive, and we want to try and play good football, and we want to try and entertain. It mightn't work, but by the end of the game I'd like to think we players have given the best and we've won the cup.
Michael, the league title trophy is already in a cabinet in Tallaght somewhere, so is today a bonus?
Well, you can look at it like that, but I suppose we had the opportunity of the final before we got the league in our own hands, so we're very focused on today. Obviously we want to enjoy the occasion, and having won the league maybe makes it a bit more stress-free than maybe what it could have been. But to be fair, we've a great opportunity here. The group of players have the chance to do the double, and that's a fantastic achievement, and they don't want to let that opportunity pass them by.
Now, you had a couple of injury doubts come into the game. Gary Twigg was one, Aidan Price was another. Price doesn't start today, Twigg does.
Yeah, Gary trained yesterday and he looked fine, and he's the sort of player that you have to take a risk with, but I don't think it's a big risk with Gary. Aidan hasn't trained just as much, The other factor in that is we just felt with Pat Flynn playing in the centre of defence, with Sligo not having Blinkhorn available, that we could maybe go with a bit more mobility in there, so to speak, and we felt that Pat did very well for us playing in there in the semi-final. And that was another reason behind it.
Yes, Shamrock Rovers manager there, Michael O'Neill, who has already led his club to the League Championship. Can he make it a double this afternoon? I think it's well worth at this point acknowledging the achievement not only of Michael O'Neill but also of Paul Cook. They've both brought silverware to their clubs this season.
Great achievement for both managers, and I think Michael O'Neill in particular has been refreshingly honest in his interviews since the end of the campaign. I think Rovers did fall over the line. There was a lot of pressure on them, and the weight of expectation that goes with that club having not won the trophy in so long, I think really did tell on his players towards the end of the league campaign. They struggled to win games, they were dominating particular games and just couldn't get over the line, and then towards the end actually were quite inconsistent in matches where you thought they could easily throw it away. So the pressure is off today, but form is a strange thing. You can't just switch it on and off, and I wonder, can they come into this game today and go back to the way they were playing towards the end of September? That'll be their challenge.
Yeah, Roddy, you know what it's like to be in the managerial hot seat. What do you think of the job both men have done?
Fantastic. Michael has been a little bit peeved off that he hasn't got the recognition for winning the league, but the recognition is there when he looks at the trophy. He doesn't need it from anyone else. Yeah. Paul Cook, in my opinion, has been fantastic. He's come over 3 years now in the league, getting to a cup final last year, changing things around, had a lot of disruption pre-season last year and this year. His recruitment has been fantastic for the style of play he wants to play. He's an ex-Liverpool. I think he's a supporter of Liverpool, but when you look at the way they play, he's brought the ethos into the Sligo, into their play. They play great football, but they play it in the right half. They don't knock across the back foot. They get it in there and then they start playing football. But just going back to Tony there, I think they're certainly going to play a 4-5-1 Rovers, and that concerns me. That could stifle the whole game. And also Doyle playing up front for Sligo won't enable them to play that longer ball, to go and squeeze in and play. So I'm a little bit concerned. I hope we get an early goal, regardless, I don't care for who, but for the supporters to open the game right out, and then see what comes from the managers through the players and then we'll have game on.
You're talking about the success there of the two managers. We're facing into a fairly unusual situation here. It's not often you get a cup final where before the game the two managers are already hailed as success. They both have trophies. They're both in Europe next year. So if ever there was occasion where you can, maybe this is a bit too positive or idealistic, where we can sit back and expect a show, because the usual elements that apply to cup final, the pressure or a European spot or to make up for disappointments early in the season, it doesn't apply to these two lads here, these two players. So hopefully, well, an early goal will be great. Huge crowd, sunny day, pitch looks great. Everything's there.
Yeah, well, let's hope for an open and entertaining game. And by the way, you may get a little bit more than you bargained for by watching the cup final with us today, because we've got a very good competition for you. In our final game of 2010, the Republic of Ireland hosts Norway here at the Aviva Stadium at Lansdowne Road. That's next Wednesday. Ranked 13th in the world, the Norwegians will provide a good test for Trapp's men. Match tickets are available to buy now from all the usual outlets. And courtesy of the FAI, we're giving you the chance to win corporate box tickets for you and 11 friends to see all the action live with full hospitality for your group. I'm thinking of entering this one myself. Okay, for your chance to win, answer this question. Which team won the 2009 FAI Ford Cup final? Was it Shamrock Rovers, Sligo Rovers or Sporting Fingal? If you know the answer, call 15 15 71 71 82 or text the word soccer followed by your answer and name to 57111. Viewers in Northern Ireland can also text to 57111 or call the number on your screen. You must be over 18 to enter. Full details are on RTE Airtel page 193. Lines will close at midday next Monday, the 15th of November, and the winner will be announced on Sport at 7 on RTE Radio 1 later that evening. So tune in for that. It's a great, great prize. You and 11 friends could be attending that game. So kick-off time here at the Aviva Stadium is fast approaching. The teams will be out very shortly, so do stay with us. And you're very welcome back to the Aviva. The managers are probably imparting their final words of wisdom to the players at this point because the teams are due out on the Lansdowne Road surface very shortly. But Richie, it's pressure time now for the panel predictions, and I want nobody there to say Rovers are going to win it, right? We know that already,
but
which?
I don't know, I fancy Sligo today. There's absolutely nothing between that. They've played 5 times competitively this season. There's never been more than a goal. I wouldn't be surprised to see us go into extra time or beyond, but Sligo for me.
So Sligo, what about you, Roddy?
I think over the course, it could be extra time. The panel or the squad that Rovers have is far too strong for Sligo, and I think if it pans out even Stephen without any major controversial decisions from referees or bad injuries, I think Shamrock Rovers will nick it.
Right, so that's one for Sligo, one for Shamrock Rovers. You have the deciding vote now in our panel today, Tony. Yeah, the pressure's on you.
I have to say, I think form is important today. I think Sligo finished the campaign with 5 wins on the bounce. I picked them for a cup earlier in the season. I have no reason to change my mind now. I think it's Sligo's year, and I think it's going to be their day today.
Okay, well, we're almost ready to go here at the Aviva Stadium on Lansdowne Road for the 2010 FAI Ford Cup final. It's Sligo Rovers against Shamrock Rovers, and the fans are waiting with great anticipation now for the teams to arrive out. And there is the Shamrock Rovers mascot, who provides plenty of entertainment at Tallaght Stadium every second week, Hooperman. And we also saw the Sligo Rovers mascot in the background, and that's Benny the Bull, I believe. So they're all getting ready. The atmosphere is building. It's time now to hand you over to our commentary team for the match. And today it's Damien Richardson and George Hamilton.
Good afternoon from the West Stand at the Aviva Stadium, looking down on the new home of the FAI Ford Cup final. The most successful team in the history of the competition are here, and against them the team in form at the end of last season. A wonderful run for Sligo Rovers, 11 matches unbeaten, ending the season with 7 straight wins. Paddy Mulligan, former Shamrock Rovers stalwart himself, and appeared in the FAI Cup final himself. And there he is with his Shamrock Rovers rosette on, here to enjoy the occasion. Pat Bonner didn't play in an FAI Cup final himself, but I'm sure he appreciates the significance of the occasion. Des Casey, Honorary Life Vice President of UEFA and former President of the FAI. Dundalk, his club, no Dundalk in this year, but he's here to enjoy the occasion, as indeed they are, the fans from Sligo who've made the journey, who did it last year and ended in disappointment at Tallaght when Sporting Fingal with 2 late goals. won the cup for the first time. Sligo Rovers against Shamrock Rovers then. That was the pairing back in 1978 when two personalities we're familiar with now played for Shamrock Rovers, John Giles and Eamon Dunphy. And on that day, Shamrock Rovers won the cup in Dalymount Park with a controversial penalty. Let's hope there's no controversy this afternoon, Damien, that we get a game too worthy of the occasion.
I think we will. You can see the attitude of both managers was very, very positive. Injuries and suspensions hit you at this end of the season, so both managers have to put up with that. I think we've got two very, very strong teams. Most important of all, I think the setting is for a perfect game of football, but it all depends on who handles the pressure best. And I think Sligo Rovers, being the form team, have the advantage to me. But this Shamrock Rovers team have had great tenacity all season.
Well, they began in a way that eventually brought them the title, Shamrock Rovers. A bit of a stutter at the start, but then a wonderful period right through the first half in the middle of the season before they kind of crawled over the line, beating Bohemians on goal difference. But as far as Sligo Rovers were concerned, well, they had a pretty ordinary start to the season, having beaten Cliftonville in the Setanta Sports Cup. They then had 2 draws, a win, 3 draws, and then started to lose before they finally got themselves in gear, and wonderful run that's brought them here. Though they did only score 6 goals in their 4 games to get to this FAI Cup final, Shamrock Rovers have been somewhat more prolific. They got 6 in one of their ties against Galway United.
Yes, but the one thing Shamrock Rovers have, they have this belief in themselves and the club. And we know Sligo Rovers are a very good footballing team, but it's all about producing on the day. And whilst a safe form is very important, it's about handling the pressure and the expectation. And I think the team that does that best will be the team that comes out on top. And I think we'll see that very early in the game.
Tomas Connolly, the referee there, leading them out. Dublin man with a Dublin team and a Sligo team. As we're saying, Sligo Rovers met Shamrock Rovers in the cup final in 1978 and lost. They also lost in 1940 to Shamrock Rovers. 3-0 was the score on that occasion. This is the second occasion that Sligo Rovers have been in consecutive cup finals. 1939 they lost to Shelburne in a replay. That was their first cup final. Then they lost 3-0 to Shamrock Rovers the next year. And now they're back after losing to Fingal, so they won't want to repeat that sequence with 2 consecutive defeats.
They most certainly will not. Your pain is the biggest motivator in sport. They will not want to re-experience that pain of last season. You could see it was quite devastating, and I'm sure that will be the main factor of motivation for the lads from the West.
6 of their team played in the final in Tala last year. For Shamrock Rovers, well, there is experience in their side, all right, but not in terms of FAI Cup finals. The last time that they were in the Cup final was in 2002 when they lost to Terry City. Danny Ventre into the midfield for Sligo Rovers today and captaining the side in place of their suspended captain. Stephen Rice is Shamrock Rovers captain. He's the regular man, but he's playing out of position today. Well, right back because of the injury to the centre half, Aidan Price, who's among the substitutes. Shamrock Rovers team with their mascots, the most successful team in FAI Cup history. They competed in the very first final in 1922. They lost in a replay to St James's Gate. They completed the first of their 6 doubles next time they were in the final. They beat Shelburne 2-1 in 1925.
When I played for Shamrock Rovers, George, it was all about the FAI Cup. It was that magical quality that it had, and it was far more important than the league title itself. How things have changed. The league title is the precursor to Europe and a lot of financial benefit.
The dignitaries being introduced to the players. The Lord Mayor of Dublin, Councillor Larry O'Toole, President of the FAI in his chain of office, Paddy McCall, and Billy Noonan is the representative of the sponsor, Director of the Customer Services Division of Ford Ireland. Well, John Delaney, the Chief Executive of the FAI on the right there, can bask in some glory today. Kept the price of the tickets down and has got a very sizable crowd as his reward.
He has, I think, and I think he understands the time, and I think on the back of this game here today, the reaction of the crowd will maybe suggest to him that a little bit more realism in the future will be the order of the day.
Sad to see yesterday the big gaps in the stands for the Rugby International against Samoa, not to mention South Africa the week before. But this is a crowd equivalent to what came to watch the 2 Rugby Internationals on those Saturdays. And it's it's great to see a big crowd for the cup final again, and it's great to see a day like this. You and I froze ourselves silly in Tala last year, Damien.
We didn't remember, but my pain was worse than Sligo's, by the way, George. I think this crowd today shows the potential for pro football in the Republic of Ireland. It's something we've got to tap into in a more professional manner.
Well, we'll be glad to see Stephen Kenny's team Derry City back in the top flight next season. They took their pain, relegated because of irregularities, and they fought their way back up with the victory over Monaghan to round it all off, and now they're in the top flight again. And Stephen Kenny, I'm sure like the rest of us, looking forward immensely to this big day. Now the anthem's over, the formality's almost complete. Giovanni Trapattoni here for the big game next Wednesday, and I'm sure look forward to this afternoon. Now, Paul Cook has brought Sligo Rovers to the final of the FAI Ford Cup for the second year in succession, but hoping that it won't be a losing one like last year. Michael O'Neill, just 2 years in charge, has delivered the league to Shamrock Rovers. Can he deliver their 7th double? The Sligo Rovers team that will be up against them. In goal, it's Kieran Kelly, who gave away a penalty last year that let Sporting Fingal back into the game late on. Alan Kane is at right back. Beside him, Gavin Pearce and the Scotsman Jim Loughlin at the centre of the defence. And on the left, from Screggan on the road to Burr from Tullamore, Iarlan Darren, 24 years of age. The Benin international captain, Romo Boko, alongside Joseph Endo, a World Cup man for Cameroon in 98 and 02. Danny Ventry from England. And then Gary McCabe, Bray Wanderers' top scorer last season. John Russell will play just behind the striker Owen Doyle, who has the unenviable task of filling the boots of the suspended Matthew Blinkhorn. Alan Manus won the cup with Linfield up north, Northern Ireland international goalkeeper. Stephen Rice, the captain of Shamrock Rovers, right back today. Craig Sivers, the Scottish central defender. And Pat Flynn has moved to the centre of defence for the injured Aidan Price, who's on the bench. And at left back, the 20-year-old Enda Stevens. On the right of midfield, James Chambers, top scorer for Shamrock Rovers in the cup with 4. Next to him, Stephen Bradley. And then it's Chris Turner from Ballymoney in County Antrim. And on the other side, Billy Dennehy from Cork. Gary Twigg is the top scorer in the land. He scored his 50th competitive goal for Shamrock Rovers to close out the season. And Tommy Stewart, 24 last Friday, another Linfield Cup winner. Referee Tomas Connolly from Dublin, assisted by Damien McGrath and Wayne McDonald, with Porrick Sutton as the 4th official. Danny Ventry and Stephen Rice are the 2 captains today. This is how the teams will line up.
If we look at Sligo first, George, the trio of Endo, Ventry and Russell in the middle of the park, if they can get possession of the ball and dictate and bring Bocco and Keane on the right and Devaran and McCabe on the left, that will stretch Shamrock Rovers right across the park. The virtue of that fact, Shamrock Rovers, I be able to play a 4-4-2, great pressure on Chambers and Dennehy when they haven't got the ball, to come in and make the midfield 4 very, very tight to offset the extra man in the middle of the park for Sligo. Fascinating tactics ahead of us this afternoon.
Michael O'Neill and Paul Cook, the 2 managers today, all set for the off. Shamrock Rovers have had their huddle and we're ready to go, and there is a wonderful atmosphere in the Aviva Stadium for this first FAI Cup final here. First came to the venue, the old Lansdowne Road, in 1990. Bray Wanderers beat St Francis that day, the team in green and white winning against the team in green and white. But the team in green and white is Shamrock Rovers today against Sligo Rovers, and we're all set to go. And it's Tommy Stewart from Craigavon in County Armagh, who roll the ball to start the game, and Gary Twigg, and back it goes. But immediately the first big challenge goes in. You'd expect it to be feisty. Forward towards Twigg, headed away by Gavin Pearce. Civis is on the left side of the central pairing for Shamrock Rovers. He normally plays on the right when Price is there. Now that rather large black mark, smudge in the middle of the pitch, of course, remnant of yesterday's sponsor of the Rugby International, the Guinness Series. Pearce. Dennehy made his name with Cork City, but he's won a League of Ireland Championship medal for Kerry. He's originally from Tralee. Ball is out. Indicated by Wayne McDonnell on the far side.
I think we've started at a very, very good tempo, George, which is most encouraging, which would suggest that nerves are not going to be a big part of this cup final.
Interception there by Keane. And firmly goes said, well, that was an opportunity for Danny Ventry, but the referee has pulled him back. Ventry saying that should have been an advantage, but the referee has stopped the game for a word with James Chambers.
It was definitely an advantage, George. You see the tackle, the ball is gone, and Doyle is in between the centre half and left back, and he would have got on the ball. That is a poor decision by the referee.
Skindo. Bronco. Skindo. Rare lapse by the Cameroon international. That's Pearce against Twigg. And Chambers got in, and Loughlin makes the challenge, and it's out for a corner.
We can see, George, Shamrock Rovers are indeed playing a straightforward 4-4-2 system. Thomas Stewart and Gary Twigg up front, and the mobility of Thomas Stewart is already causing Sligo a couple of problems.
Ball in towards Turner. It's away for a goal kick.
Just seeing the importance of Turner there. He came in late for that cross from the left. He's got a very, very good goal scorer. It's a good ball in, and there he's attacking that near post space. Good defending. Took the opportunity away for him. Good ball in, good bit of pace on it.
Shamrock Rovers manager Chris Turner, who was sent off by this referee when playing for Dundalk in an amazing match some years ago. 1 year ago, 3 Dundalk players were sent off by Tomas Connolly. Dundalk were playing Sligo Rovers on that occasion. It's Bocco. To left back Daver. Worth a try. A man who's never scored for Sligo Rovers.
Well, you can see why that shot, but at least he was very, very positive. He got behind the ball, didn't get over the ball, and it's well worth a shot early on in the cup final.
Lots of colour, lots of excitement. They've made the longer trip, but they want to go home with the cup.
Yes, they learned the lesson last year as well, George. They felt that pain we spoke about earlier.
Aimed for Twigg, holding off Loughlin. Lovely touch by the Scotsman, and away it goes to Enda Stevens, the young left back. Stevens for Dennehy. Back for Stevens once more, and all the way back to Craig Civis. Pat Flynn. Flynn hoisted towards Twigg, cut out by Loughlin. Sando in the centre of the park, and Danny Ventry. Ventry played forward there towards John Russell. Shamrock Rovers with it back. Turner now. Tommy Stewart, lovely little ball up the wing for Dennehy, but Keane saw the danger, and he's managed to force it out off Dennehy, and that will be a throw-in to Sligo Rovers.
It's going to be a big afternoon for Stephen Bradley and Chris Turner in the centre of the park for Shamrock Rovers. It's a huge pitch, George, and the movement already of Sligo Rovers across the middle is very inventive.
Now this is a trademark of Paul Cook teams. They like to get the ball down, they like to play it on the floor. Shamrock Rovers trying to up the tempo and get at him. Nice ball in there, nice little turn there by Tommy Stewart, but he turned into trouble, and that's rebounded from Pearce. Oh, goal kick, it didn't rebound from Pearce. It must have spun off the Shamrock Rovers man. He seemed quite confident that if it went out, it would be out off Tommy Stewart for a goal kick.
He knew it was happening. It was a very bright ball from Bradley, but good covering by coming across Alan Kane, coming across out. Indeed, Gavin Pearce was correct. Kept his concentration very, very well.
As always, there's plenty to say from Paul Cook. He'll be hoarse by the end as usual.
He will be hoarse, but generally what he says is makes sense, George. So you put up with his exuberance, shall we say.
He looks very much the man at work in his high-vis jacket. Michael O'Neill looking rather more like a businessman in his suit.
I mean, Cook always enjoys it, and I think enjoyment is also a very important factor of motivation in football.
Well, the referee wants a word with Tommy Stewart.
I think it's important, George, the referee's not too fussy. I know it's a cup final, he wants to set a sort of standard from the very beginning, but the disadvantage of the non-advantage a while back.
Skindo just beaten to it by Stewart. The throw to Sligo Rovers, Irla Davern. McCabe all got too tight there. Twig thinking the better of getting involved. Danny Ventry's running out of play. Throw to Shamrock Rovers.
It's tight and it's combative, and it's what we want from a cup final. We don't want people standing off and the tempo being low. It's a quick tempo. When you have the ball, move it quickly. When you haven't got the ball, close down the opposition quickly. Gives us all a great sense of anticipation for what's yet to come.
Flynn and Sivers. It's Twig out on towards Stewart. Stewart taken over there by Turner. That's a foul. Danny Ventry. Good position for Shamrock Rovers free kick. No doubt it was a free kick. He was late, Danny Ventry.
And it's in a very important area here, George. A good left-footed ball in by Dennehy into that just around that penalty spot. We can see it behind the defence of Sligo. I think would cause a little bit of consternation. And he might just go for the shot.
It's Billy Dennehy, but it's not. It's actually taken instead by James Chambers. Sligo's Ventry able to clear. This time it's Pearce with the clearance, but only as far as Turner. Tommy Stewart. Sivers to open the attack. Twig! Oh! League's top scorer. That was a great chance and he knows it.
It was a great chance, but look how Thomas Stewart was in a magnificent position, George. Had got it with a brilliant turn. Could you put Thomas Stewart in there, I wonder? Look at the turn, it's first class. Look at Stewart. He's in goal.
Tommy Stewart, who got the goal that earned Shamrock Rovers a crack at Juventus in the Europa League earlier in the year. Kelly's goal kick. Doyle goes up. He was pushing, but being pushed more than he was pushing himself. It's Pat Flynn who's penalised.
Have to own Doyle has started the game quite well, George. He's leading the line well, he's presenting himself, and mostly he's getting on the ball and bringing the midfield players into the game.
He was the one who scored the goal that put them up in the cup final last year, but did not score a goal off that.
Shows he was sometimes a step ahead of everybody, but I think he was in a world of his own there.
He's a World Cup player, played 3 times in the World Cup in France in '98 for Cameroon. And in '02 he was on the bench against Ireland, a 1-1 draw at Nikita. When he didn't come on, Matt Holland scored the equaliser, 1-1 it ended.
Well, he's a superb player. I mean, he is what you want in the Electricity League of Ireland, because he brings the best out of those around him. He gets people off their seats.
Turner. Bradley's down, injured. free kick to Sligo Rovers.
I think that epitomises that tackle by Stephen Bradley. How Shamrock Rovers realise they cannot stand off the midfield of Sligo, otherwise they're creating problems for themselves. They're determined to close the space down as quickly as possible.
It's Pearce. The interception was by Bradley. The second time too. This is Ndo. Still Ndo. Got a slide one through to Doyle, cut out there by Stevens. That's Stewart. On to the left, right there to Heat. Stewart closed out by Danny Ventley, eventually getting the free kick. A good play by Ventley though, because the ball was on up the wing. He made sure Stewart couldn't get it away.
That's what Danny Ventley does very, very well. He protects his back forward, George. Stewart was very intelligent. He dropped off the strike roll into the hole in the middle of the park in a defensive situation for us, and then picked up the loose ball. Again, another intelligent footballer.
Come out to Chambers. Chambers fighting ball in there. Just a touch. I think it was Pearce got it away. May have taken a touch off a Shamrock Rovers player on the way. Indeed it did. And it's a throw to Sligo Rovers.
Look at the 5 Shamrock Rovers players attacking the ball in the box, George. One just dropping out. Certainly coming in themselves to the attacking philosophy, Shamrock Rovers.
John Russell was being pulled back. Free kick to Sligo.
Again, that was Stephen Bradley. He was not noted as a pressuriser or a tackler, and he is certainly putting himself about. It's a big opportunity for Stephen Bradley.
It is, isn't it? He's in the team because of the injury at centre half to Aidan Price, which goes to reshuffle. The big opportunity, get the call. You're in the final team.
Yeah, make it count. Make it count.
It's Chris Turner here. And Alan Manus. Twig, lovely flick header on. Stewart up to help it on. Chambers. Past Davern. Chambers. Twig. Twig trying to curl it. Oh, you saw what he was trying to do there. When you had 27 goals this season, far and away the top scorer in the country, you're confident to try that.
And yes, you are, and you want him to try this, but look at Billy Denny on the far side, again in a very advantageous position, but Gary Twig's instincts told him to have 2 shots. Normally you'd expect 1 goal from those with his record, but he doesn't hit the target on neither shot.
Oh, rueful shake of the head. It's a goal kick for Kieran Kelly. Aimed at Doyle. Won by Flynn. And it's Davern. Oh, and he's got it away. Gary McCabe. McCabe, but just crowded out, but referee saw that as a foul. Stephen Rice, the Shamrock Rovers captain, and this is a great position for Sligo.
He showed his inexperience at fullback there, Stephen Rice, and committing himself earlier to this challenge, then trying to retrieve the situation, lunged into a careless tackle, on a, as you say, in a very, very dangerous position.
And isn't that the point? Because with Price out and on the bench, Flynn, who's nowhere to the right back, to the centre half, and Rice is at right back.
Yes, that's it. Part of the imbalance Shamrock Rovers are having to suffer this afternoon.
So Sligo with the suspensions, although Bailey suspended, he wouldn't have been in the team for Rovers. Here's McCabe, come back off Twig, it's McCabe again. And Manus, Alan Manus knew where that was going.
Yes, he did, all the way. He saw it all the way. Again, a waste by Gary McCabe. You can see his distress with himself. The first ball, I think he went for the shot. Having underhit the first one, he overhits the second one. That's what pressure in the cup final can do for you.
Tommy Stewart beaten this time by Gavin Pearce. Early ball forward towards Twig. Chambers comes onto this. Davern is there for Sligo. Davern to McCabe. Clever little touch. Unfortunately for him, Pat Flynn saw it coming. Handball. Advantage played. Or was it offside? The flag shot up, but it's gone down again. Sivic out of the middle against Doyle. And out of play it goes. Throw in to Shamrock Rovers.
Long bursting run from Doyle there. He's on his own up front. He's got to make himself available all the time. But the game has a very, very good tempo to it, George.
miss there by Jim Loughlin. Inside a play for a throw to Shamrock Rovers. Well, the Sligo fans are certainly making a noise. They've got the Lansdowne Road end. The Havelock Square end is populated by those in green and white. It's Craig Sivis. Oh, it's come back off John Russell, and now it's Doyle against Sivis. Doyle, you've got a bit of pace here, space. Around the outside goes Bocco. It's Doyle for Bocco. Rovers getting men back. Bocco's cross has gone off a rebound for a throw.
Inexperience of Doyle showed itself there, George.
Cross towards Russell. A shot from Mando, and it's come back off Sivis. And Sligo Rovers have their first corner.
Great defending from Sivis. Wonderful support from Joseph Mando, but a good layback by Russell. But watch this defending by Sivis. Gets his body right between the ball and the goal.
Joseph and Doe will take the corner. Loughlin and Pearce together in the middle. Oh, brilliant save! That was Bocco, and Manis to the rescue.
It was Bocco all on his own as well, George. Inexplicably. Look at him here. Should have buried it. Keeper got a touch onto the crossbar. Just a touch though the keeper got. But he's all on his own. Look at the splendid isolation he's in.
There we are. They're missing a regular centre half. Let's not forget Shamrock Rovers. Can Sligo take advantage of that? It's Ndo once more. Headed away. But back it'll come. Well, it would have. Had the back pass been more accurate. Rommel Bocco, the captain of Benin, veteran of the African Cup of Nations earlier this year. Here's his header.
Oh, it should have been a goal, George. Doyle was following up, but a man of his quality should have scored.
Twig with the flick, and the referee saw push by Gary Twig. It's a free kick. Tony O'Donoghue has news from the touchline.
Well, I'm with Michael O'Neill. Michael, I let off for you there.
Well, good save from Alan. You know, you're always got to defend set pieces, and you know, goalkeepers there to make saves, which he did. Other than that, I think we've been the better team so far. We've started the game better, had the better chances. But Sligo, you know, that'll give them a bit of confidence. But it's the game as I expected, very tight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony and Michael O'Neill. And meanwhile, we have a free kick to Shamrock Rovers for this foul by Gavin Pearce. Yellow card, first yellow card of the final.
I'm a little bit disappointed in that yellow card, George, I have to say.
Just 18 minutes. Was it as bad a challenge that warranted that?
No way, in my opinion. It's a game that's been very competitive. The referee should be encouraging the flow of the game, not putting doubt in the player's mind. He's a good referee, but he's got to do better than that, in my opinion.
Kelly has his defence organised. It's floated over to the back. Kelly's able to save the shot from Bradley. It wasn't really a shot across. One they've worked on, but it didn't quite come off. Pat Flynn with the header. Ndo into intercept. Bocco. Ventry. And Davern misread his intention, did John Russell. It's now Flynn back to Manis. It's Pearce up. And the bounce taking it past Stevens. Bocco comes to close. Stevens happy to put it away. 20-year-old left back for Shamrock Rovers, established himself this season.
He's certainly got great potential, I feel. He's got a big challenge in his hand this afternoon with Bocco, but so far he's handling it well. But the pitch is a very, very big pitch, George, long and wide, and it'll take the players a little bit getting used to, bearing in mind the importance of the occasion as well. But so far it's been good. But Sligo need to impose their style on the game a little bit more, get possession of the ball a little bit more, and keep moving Shamrock Rovers.
Pearce and Loughlin go forward. Once more, Joseph and Doe complaining that the two-man wall isn't far enough back, and it doesn't look like 10 metres. Tommy Stewart and His partner is not visible at the moment as Doe whips it in. And there's Ventre to take it away from Twig, and Doe taking over. Joseph and Doe, and another deflection. And Doyle's header had no power in it.
It's the lack of composure that youth can give you. Instead of just knocking this back across the goal, he thinks to go for goal.
Doyle's another youngster, just 22. Owen Doyle. Twig holding off Laughlin. Chambers. Davern goes with him, so it's back to Laughlin. They may have gone all the way back, but they kept the ball. Sligo will put in the pressure on. This is towards Tommy Stewart. Flags up, came back from an offside position.
A good back line by Sligo Rovers there to hold the line and allow Stewart to be offside. See Gavin Pearce hand up there, he knew he was offside. That's good coaching by the manager and his assistant Jerry Carter. Very well organised defensively, Sligo.
And Doe under pressure here from Bradley. And Doe sweeping it wide. Good ball for Keane. And his cross, just gone in behind there, but McCabe, he just failed to control it, but still they have the possession. Ventre, and now Davern. Davern picked out Russell. Russell back for Davern again. McCabe, clever play for Russell. Oh, let's come back out to Davern. Here to Davern. Oh, great tackle by Sivers. Fullback got forward well, but Sivers not for the first time.
No, and it was a great tackle by Sivers. He very, very fair. He got the ball. He went for the ball. He caught the man afterwards, totally accidentally. But if we see this again, Davern could have went to ground when the tackle was coming in, and he could have looked for the penalty. Watch him here. He goes and plays the game properly, and that's what gets him hurt there. But great cover by Sivers as well as the tackle.
McCabe and Russell played their part in that as well. Davern must have scented the goal there, but oh, what a tackle by Sivers.
Yes. But you see it before. He could have looked for the contact. He could have invented contact there, Davern.
Well, he's had problems aplenty as it is. 2 suspensions going into this. He doesn't want another regular to be missing. It doesn't look good for Ian Davern.
It was a straightforward bang, which might be the best news on it. It'll be very, very sore for a few moments. Hopefully, it eases out very, very quickly. But the knee, bang on the knee, you can see it here, can be very, very painful indeed. It was a cruncher.
But totally fair. And Davern will want to get back again. Rice got in to put it out of play, and applause as Davern comes back a little bit gingerly, but he's on the ball. Doe. Joseph and Doe could have spread it a bit wider there. It still stayed a bit tight. And Doe, space out right. He's seen it now. That's for Kane as Stevens comes to close. Oh, poor touch by the fullback. And Stevens able to bring it away for Shamrock Rovers. Good play. Stevens and Dennehy. Stewart wants it inside. Dennehy with Pears and Kane with him. Well, that's come back loosely. It's Ventry's there, protect the back four as ever. And lay off there by Russell. Now for Bocco. Bocco hurdling the challenge. Bocco, Russell. Oh, and it's Flynn who brings it away for Shamrock Rovers. Just broke down at the wrong moment for Sligo. It's Tommy Stewart now for Shamrock Rovers. Relentless pace to an enthralling cup final as we reach the 25th minute. Stephen. It's cut out by Loughlin, and it's a throw to Shamrock Rovers.
Good defensive by Loughlin there. He could have tried to control it, would have put him in trouble. He went for safety first and got the ball away.
He has been magnificent up and down the right for Sligo, Romo Bocco.
It's a type of pitch that suits him. There's plenty of space out there. He used it to great advantage.
Turner couldn't control it. Loughlin gets it away. It's McCabe. McCabe looking for Doyle. Doyle's little layoff. Beautiful touch by Doyle. It's Russell and McCabe's made ground up the left. Russell hasn't seen him. And it's closed out. but they have got a corner. But that was a great opportunity for Sligo Rovers had Russell seen McCabe free up the left.
Even if he had a little bit more, it was a beautiful touch there by Doyle. Magnificent imagination. This is where you need real pace to get at that last defender. Russell doesn't have it, allows Flynn to come across and make the challenge. Ideally, that sort of pace can burn defenders. He just didn't have it on that occasion.
Undou with the corner. Headed away by Flynn. It's come out to Ventre, and back it goes to Undou. Joseph Undou, in goes Doyle, too high for him. And Cives with a header away. It's been retrieved. Jim Loughlin. And now it's Ventre, and Ventre with a shot. Oh, he hit the target, but Manus was behind it all the way.
Yes, he struck it very, very well, but Manus in the perfect position. You can see the ball coming straight at him. He's got a bit of a break here, but the decision was made, shot was right, not enough power.
Stewart just lost his balance. Loughlin away with the ball. And Loughlin, that's clever. Into space for Bocco. Sligo really inventive. Bocco against Dennehy now. Kane. Kane on for Doyle. Doyle's lay off. Oh, just didn't quite find his man, but they're still alive. Kane. Undou. And now Davern. And Davern from McCabe. McCabe facing Rice. Gary McCabe still. Little ball in there to Russell. McCabe once more. Russell. That all ends, unfortunately for Sligo, but they have forced the throw by their pressure.
We said about 10 minutes ago, George, was the time to impose for Sligo to impose themselves on the game. They have done just that, moving the ball sweetly across the park.
Undou. Again, the space up the right. What's Bocco? Pass from Undou wasn't the one that was going to carry it to Kane. Loughlin against Twig. Twig goes down, and the whistle signs for a free kick for Shamrock Rovers.
This is what Twig is exceptionally good at, George, getting free kicks out of a situation like this, up there all on his own, backing into the defender, giving Loughlin no chance of winning the ball and convincing the referee it was worth a free kick.
Cives making a way forward. Tommy Stewart's there, Twig of course as well. Billy Dennehy, the Torah man. There's the free kick taken by Bradley, headed away by Pearce, back in again by Stevens, headed away by Loughlin. Stevens against Bocco. And Bocco forces concession of the throw.
Yes, it's great when forwards do that to defenders, turn the roles if you like, and puts them under pressure.
Monday evening M&S, you have to see that. All the best bits of 2010. RT2, 7 o'clock. And of course, big night of football on Wednesday with Brazil-Argentina for you as well. And that's also the Republic of Ireland against Norway highlights, 10 o'clock. And here at the Aviva Stadium, as we approach the half hour, it's still scoreless, but Alan Manus has made one spectacular save from Romu Bocco. Kane went down. Dennehy caught him on the head. That was accidental. Kane tumbled, slipped, lost his footing, and Dennehy went for the ball, and I think caught the player as well.
It was exceptionally brave by Kane here because he knew he was losing his foot. He knew he was going to lose possession of the ball unless he got his head on that. He knew what was coming, and he was right all the way.
And I think in fairness to Billy Dennehy, he didn't kick out. His foot was there, and there was nothing he could do.
Yes, yes.
Penalty king, Alan Kane. Both his cup goals have been penalties.
I think Paul Cook will be the happier manager, George. Gradually they've walked away into that position of ascendancy, as people say. They've got control of the football. Shamrock Rovers are playing more on the break than anything else. He'll be a little bit worried now coming to half-time. This next 10-15 minutes could be the most important part of the game.
Kane none the worse. Well, the boys on the bench next Wednesday. Wonder what they're making of this. Alan Kelly with them there as well. Giovanni Trapattoni and Marco Tarantella. I'd say they're enjoying it.
Well, you have to. It's a great game. It's very, very enjoyable.
Davern. Left side of play. Throw to Sligo.
It's just that the pitch is a little bit lively, and you can see the ball is coming up off it sometimes and taking the players by surprise. Shouldn't happen now. I mean, it's a rugby pitch yesterday, a soccer pitch today. We have to accept those little eccentricities. But Sligo have proven that you can play football on it.
Davern missed kick. Hasn't gone out. And finally it's out off Danny Ventry. Throw to Shamrock Rovers. Davern, left back, none the worse for the back of the knee he took a while ago. Rice, Chambers. Turner goes in. And it's just a rebound that's taken it away from the danger zone. Davern sends it long towards Doyle, beaten to it. Flynn and Doe then. Over the head of Rice. Still in play. Manus has to leave his line to clear his lines. Davern, Doe, space for Kane. There's a lot of space on that Sligo right when they get possession. Dennehy's across, a good tackle. The ball has come to Bocco. Back to Kane again. He too is all right after the bang in the head he took. It's Gavin Pearce. Back to Kelly.
You're right. It's the right side of the attack that Sligo are most potent, with Bocco and Alan Keane coming up. On the left, they're not so productive.
It's gone away. Forward again by Loughlin. Well played by Davern, but he played that too far forward. Turner kept that in well. Chambers lost his footing. It's Ventry now holding off Stewart. It's out for a throw to Shamrock Rovers.
Yes, on the left with McCabe, although he's getting good support by Davern. McCabe is a right footer. He keeps coming in. Really, he should be trying to expose Stephen Rice in that not used to position of right back.
Kelly says, leave that to me. Getting a bit agitated down there. Paul Cook, arms folded, highly visible, his jacket. Sivers again to the rescue at the start of the show for Shamrock Rovers so far, notwithstanding the save that Alan Manus made.
He has been superb, Sivers. Just when a manager needs him most to stand as tall as he possibly can, he has answered the manager's call. He's been quite magnificent.
It's Flynn heading it forward. It's come down for Davern. Davern for McCabe. Davern, Doyle, Flynn getting the better of him. Sivers. Came Flynn. Ventry. Flynn very determined, and here he is again when the ball's gone past him. Took a little deflection to do so. It's Chris Turner. Forward then by Enda Stevens. Oh, Stewart's in round the back here. Twig in the middle, but defending by Pearce put him under pressure. And there's nobody from Shamrock Rovers there to take advantage. But a corner's the outcome. 3-2 in the corner count for Sligo.
We can see the hesitancy in the midfield and in defence for Sligo here. Allowed the ball come back up. Pearce really did very well to get back in and concede a corner kick. Would have been a very dangerous situation.
Tommy Stewart. Doyle's back, assisting the defence. Billy Dennehy will take the corner. Headed away by Bocco. Not a good delivery by Billy Dennehy. It's turned into a throw into Sligo, to Shamrock Rovers. Sligo having not too much difficulty defending it. That was Sivers still up with the attack, but then Stewart was offside.
If you think, George, when Sligo had a lot of ball, it's John Russell getting into the game a little bit more to create a better effect that Sligo have got to do. John Russell has got to be in the game more.
Tony O'Donoghue is with the Sligo assistant manager Jerry Carr.
Jerry, I suppose Richie Ryan and Matthew Blinkhorn, to be fair, haven't been missed, so that's a compliment to your performance so far.
Yeah, we've done all right, Tom. Thought we started a bit sloppy first, I'd say 7 or 8 minutes. You know, you're only finding your feet settling into the game. I think we've grew into it. You know, they've had a couple of chances. I think we've had the better chances so far. Looked like your man made a great save. I'd like to see it again, but it's a good game. It's a great occasion. It's fantastic to be here, you know, with 2 good sides, and we'll see what happens.
Tactically, you won't be making any changes so far?
No, not at the minute. We're happy enough with how it's going. So, as I say, you know, there's only 10 minutes till half time. We'll see what happens at half time, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Jerry Carr, the assistant to Paul Cook, in charge of Sligo Rovers, scored the winning goal in the cup final of 1994. Sligo Rovers' success that year over Derry City. Only the second time that they won the cup. They beat Bohemians in 1983. So a very different kind of cup record to that of Shamrock Rovers, going for the double, for their 7th double. Rice can hurl these long. Siv is going in. And Doe just did enough. So Doe again, turning around, and the referee has blown the whistle. Could have been an advantage there, but Sligo may yet take advantages with Bocco, who took the free kick quickly. Bocco trying a long-range shot. It came back off Russell, but they still have the ball. And Russell back for Ventre. Well, this is trademark Sligo. Keep it. Russell. Always find a little gap. Russell trying to find Doyle. He's come through to Loughlin. Loughlin for Davern. Davern and McCabe. And they just found Russell on the wrong foot there. Flynn is able to take control here. But with the pressure coming in from Davern, he's put it out for a throw.
Yes, I mean, Davern has been very, very good for Sligo as well. But I still would like to see more from John Russell. He's a very good player. He's almost doing things, but not quite at the moment. And if he can really get into form... Well, that nearly worked. Davern and McCabe deceiving Shamrock Rovers on the touchline. It's a type of game that really could do the goal, George, ideally before half-time from the game's point of view.
Well, they're lively. I think their lack of enthusiasm has just seen themselves on the big screen. It took that to wake them up. They're clearly feeling that their team is not on top in this match.
Well, they aren't, but as long as they got someone like Gary Twigg and Thomas Stewart, they need not worry. They can come into it in a second.
It's Bocco as Kane goes round the outside. Bocco for Kane now. Dennehy's there. Return pass for Undo. Bradley with him. Undo. That was, you might say, ambitious.
Well, what I like about Joseph is he gives free rein to his imagination. And he's got something building up here. What's he going to do? You don't expect that. But it's the beauty of Joseph.
You think of the quality of players out of Cameroon over the years, to think that he was a regular in their side at the 1998 World Cup. Speaks volumes for the quality of the player.
He's a superb player. I mean, he's a beautiful professional. He is very dedicated to his art, very, very honest. But he really lights the game up. I always say Joseph is like the sparkle in the diamond. He highlights the quality around him.
Yeah, just 22 when he played in the World Cup. At the age of 34. Unused sub in 2002 against Ireland in the 3 matches they played. And Doe there. That was the end of his international career. He's going to get booked now.
Oh, good God, referee.
Well, we were talking about Joseph and Doe, the positive things, and now he goes and gets a yellow card, which seems harsh.
I think that was incredibly harsh. I mean, look, he's chasing back. He gets a touch of the ball. Even if he doesn't, it's a genuine attempt to play the ball. There is no malice whatsoever in this. I think the referee, Tom Collins, is far too petty so far in his game.
Big occasion for the referee too, of course, let's not forget. But like the players, he's got to do his best. Here's the free kick for Shamrock Rovers. It's Dennehy. And it's too high. It can be lethal from that kind of range. But on this occasion, no.
He never really gets over this ball at all, George. Never in command of it. It's a very important time of reaching in the game here. Whoever can manage to wrestle something in this 5 minutes could put themselves in a very, very good position for the second half.
It's too high for Baku, but the rebound might assist him. It's come for Stevens. Chanting is old Sligo Rovers. Cut out by Pearce, but onto it comes Dennehy. Dennehy just overhit that.
Compliments to Billy Dennehy there, George. He wants to take people on. That's exactly what you want from a winger. Just knocked it too far. I would put up with that as a manager all day long. Keep taking the winger on, taking the fullback on. Keep taking him on.
They found their voice. Sligo Rovers, though, been making more noise. And as the half-time whistle approaches, they're happy to know that back home in the west, the northwest, they'll be seen. Playing their part in a magnificent occasion. Gary Twigg just lost his footing there. It's Loughlin now on for Davern. This is come to McCabe. Davern. Russell. Russell sweeps one wide, and there's that space up the Sligo right. The Shamrock Rovers left again. It's Alan Kane. Kane with the cross, looking for Doyle. Be retrieved here by McCabe. Too close to Manus. But defender Pat Flynn deciding that they had to take no chances and put it out for a corner.
Very, very good defending, George. Good ball into the box. Red shirts in there. But this one back in is a very good ball indeed. Flynn has to get anything he can on it. Thank you for Shamrock Rovers.
And Doe then for the corner. Oh, Pearce! Yet again, the centre of the Shamrock Rovers defence, allowing a free header to a Sligo player.
Yes, this is very difficult to defend against, George. Watch his movement as he attacks the ball. He's very strong. Doyle just cannot get a touch on it. A despairing move as the ball goes past Doyle there. But this is very, very unlucky again from Shamrock Rovers. A little bit more on it, and it was a goal. Pat Flynn will say he did enough to put him off.
Reminiscent of a goal that was scored by Gavin Pearce to win the semi-final against Bohemians.
Yes, indeed.
But on this occasion, it didn't go in. McCabe has fed Russell. Russell forward for Doyle. Civis taking charge. And that's on by Turner, then Twigg. And up the line it goes from Chambers. Stewart is chasing, but Pearce is happy to put it out of play.
You can see the footing is a little bit difficult for the players, George. Maybe to do with the rugby game yesterday. Just that little bit extra caution to taking in the footing and to control the ball.
Twiggs flick on. Stevens. Doyle. On for Bocco. Lovely ball, beautifully weighted. Bocco. Sligo trying to get men forward, and they've got 3 now, 4. And just to get an opportunity to get more forward, it goes back to Kane. And now Russell. Beautiful ball that was. Doyle in the middle. Russell on for Bocco. Doyle still in the middle. Pull back for Russell. Headed away by Flynn.
Again, bright and inventive from Sligo, George. A very intelligent ball from that man, Bocco. Pulled it back to Kane, or to Russell. Just couldn't get enough on it. Good play by Russell himself here. Watch him move into the space. Good ball back. Very difficult technique to try and perfect.
That's Russell. Lovely play. It's off the head there of Cives. Retrieved by Ventre. Davern. Ventry and Davoren. 2 additional minutes at the end of this half. Corner prevented by Stephen Rice. Throw into Sligo Rovers. That's a foul. Chambers just a little clumsy there. Opportunity for Sligo Rovers to put more pressure on. And you think back to the chances, they'd be better.
They have, and from general play they've had that little advantage as well, George. But they've got to put something on to prove it, and this may be the best opportunity they've got to try and finish this game reflecting the quality.
Joseph Mendo. A dangerous ball in. Loughlin goes to retrieve it. He wants to run out of play. It has. It's another corner. Sligo Rovers' 5th corner of the first half. Doe has gone over to the other side. We're in the second of the additional minutes, and McCabe goes to offer him another option and pulls Turner out of the middle, but Doe swings it. It's a Shamrock Rovers head that gets it away, and that might well be the last worry that they have of this first half. But 5 corners to Sligo Rovers tells you the kind of pressure they've been putting on, against 2 for Shamrock Rovers. Off Bocco, it's a throw to Shamrock Rovers.
I think both managers will be reasonably happy. I think Michael O'Neill, considering the changes they've had to make, I think will be reasonably happy. Paul Cook really would want a little bit more from his team in and around the penalty area.
Well, there's the half-time whistle from Tomas Connolly. The throwing first half all right, but no goals to show for it. The best chance, that for Romuald Bocco with a header that was brilliantly saved by Alan Mannis. The crowd have enjoyed it, we've enjoyed it too, and there's a second half to come, but not before we've heard what the panel think of the first half. Half-time at the Aviva Stadium in the FAI Ford Cup final of 2010. It's Sligo Rovers 0, Shamrock Rovers 0.
It's the showpiece of Irish domestic football. Sligo Rovers and Shamrock Rovers taking centre stage. Gary Twigg almost brought the house down once or twice, and there have been committed performances right around the pitch. But no one has stolen the show just yet. And you're very welcome back. Half-time here at Lansdowne Road's Aviva Stadium, and it's Sligo Rovers 0, Shamrock Rovers 0. Plenty to discuss after that first half, but just before we do, here's another reminder of our competition for you. Now, as you know, the Republic of Ireland take on Norway here at the Aviva Stadium next Wednesday. Match tickets are available to buy now from all the usual outlets, and courtesy of the FAI, we're giving you the chance to win 12 tickets for a corporate box, which will include full hospitality. Now, for your chance to win this wonderful prize, pick the correct answer to the following question. Which team won the 2009 FAI Ford Cup final? Was it Shamrock Rovers, Sligo Rovers or Sporting Fingal? If you know the answer, call 1515 71 71 82 or text the word soccer followed by your answer and name to 57111. Viewers in Northern Ireland can also text to 57111 or call the number on screen. You must be over 18 to enter, and full details are on RTE Airtel page 193. Lines will close at midday next Monday, the 15th of November, and the winner will be announced on Sport at 7 on RTE Radio 1 later that evening, so tune in for that, and the very best of luck with that competition. Well, what a first half it's been, highly entertaining. Fair to say, Tony, that Shamrock Rovers probably started the better and had 2 early chances through Gary Twigg.
Yeah, a real intensity to their play early on, Peter. I mean, they pushed Sligo very far up the pitch, very, very bright start, and you know, I was very fearful after the first 5 minutes for this Sligo team, and great chance by Twigg, lovely little ball into him I think by Silves, and just on a turn, half volley, what you would expect from a centre forward with his skill, has a pot shot. And again, something similar here, Chambers cuts inside after a good Stewart flick, on his left peg again, just gets his angles a little bit wrong, off balance. But you know, you are fearful when you see Twigg getting 2 chances on his left foot and do the good areas outside of the box, and at that point in time you really felt for Sligo. You said they had to get their foot in the ball and get into this side. Rovers were dominating.
Yeah, but they did settle after that, Sligo Rovers, Roddy, and they got into the game, and I suppose the chances, well, one great chance that fell to Romuald Bocco sort of demonstrated their
well, that was from the set piece after the run that pins the play back. It gets the attention of Shamrock Rovers, and for all their attacking play. It will get the mentality of the players realising they've got to defend as well. I mean, that's criminal. In a cup final, you're talking about preparation and coaching. It's criminal to give a free header in a situation like that. I mean, you know, the game did develop. You can see the run here. It's a bit of a, you know, an iffy challenge by Stevens, but you know, obviously from the break that was good defending there. But like from Sligo Rovers' point of view, when you have someone who can deliver a ball, there again, Pierce Putman, who scored in the semi-final from identical delivery from the other side. When you have Ndo who can deliver a fantastic ball like that, you know, it's criminal. When the play stops, you've got to be able to defend. In open play, if they're going to play through you, you have an excuse. But once the play is stopped, you've got to pick up your man, and he doesn't get a header on. And there were two gilt-edged chances that could have put them in front, at least with one of them.
Yeah, they certainly could have gone in front. Will Sligo Rovers feel a little hard done by some of the decisions that Tomás Connolly has made in that first half, Richie?
I think they will. I mean, we said before the game, we don't want to be talking about any controversial decisions. Ideally, you don't want to talk about the contribution of the referee at all. They would see the challenge there on the halfway line. James Chambers just takes down Ventry, and it is a foul. But we can see from this angle, the ball that's played, Doyle is one-on-one. The goalkeeper's not getting there, and he pulls it back. Joseph Ndo here does what he's done very well, gets the ball at his feet. But you can see he had two options on the far side of the pitch, and you can see his frustration there. The ref stops it. Now we're not in the scenario here we're saying the ref is spoiling it or he's been disastrous. We're nowhere, but there's a couple of instances there where he should have used his head and given the advantage to Sligo, because there was a clear advantage there.
I would say he's spoiling it.
Those two incidents so far.
We said before the game, you know, when you're asked your prediction of the game, without controversy, you know, hopefully no one gets injured, that can dictate the game. Sligo, minutes into the game, a golden opportunity, gilt edge, to be 1-0.
But having said that, fair enough, Roddy, we can only imagine what might have happened in that situation. But, Tony, Sligo Rovers have got in front of goal on a few occasions, but they haven't taken the chances. Now, that surely must be a worry for Paul Cook at half-time.
It is, but I think he'll be more concerned with how they're actually playing, and they're playing very, very well. After the first 10 minutes of the game, they came into it, they're dominating in the centre of the park, and Ndo and Ventry are really on top there. I'd be very surprised Michael O'Neill doesn't change that in the second half and maybe put another man in there or tuck Chambers in, because the two boys are dominating, creating a lot of chances, and the only thing that's lacking from Sligo at the minute is the final ball in and around the goal mouth. That's all that's lacking. Very good approach play, very good passing and fluidity. All that's missing is the final touch.
So do you see a tactical change at half-time?
Well, I do, and I was surprised to see a 4-4-2 formation with Rovers. It was a brave one. The two strikers will pull back the two fullbacks of Sligo. They like to go in and help the play. But if you're going to play two, you've got to leave them. You've got to take the gamble, and you've got to be confident that the players behind the ball for Shamrock Rovers can, you know, compete with what's coming in on top of them. I would leave a 4-4-2, but I would definitely leave my strikers up there all the time and pin Sligo back as they did early in the game.
OK, so work for both managers to do, you'd suggest, at half-time, and there'll be some serious conversations going on in the dressing room as we speak. We have a short commercial break to take, but do rejoin us for the second time right after that. And you're very welcome back. Well, just a short time ago, two legends of the domestic game were introduced to the crowd here at the Aviva Stadium, raising the red and white of Sligo there. Their former captain, Tony Fagan, who captained Sligo Rovers to victory in the 1983 FAI Cup final, a 1-0 victory over Bows. And Ronnie Nolan was there as well. 13 times he appeared in an FAI Cup final, including replays. And here are the legends of the Jubilee team. 1985 double winners, and it included some of the great stars of the Shamrock Rovers team that of course went on to win a treble in the FAI Cup 85, 86 and 87. So nice celebrations from both sides at half-time here at the Aviva. But we've still plenty to talk about before the teams emerge for the start of the second half. And Richie, no doubt about it, it's been a very good ad for domestic football. There was some good quality shown out there in the first half.
I've really enjoyed it. I mean, we spoke about the pluses the both squads bring, but on an occasion like this, you don't want the players to go out and freeze or the referee to go out and daft. No, me and Rod disagree, but I don't think we're not in that territory just yet. It's been entertaining, it's been good. I've been hugely impressed with Sligo. I'd be more concerned if it was Michael O'Neill than Paul Cook at this point.
Where is that goal going to come from? I mean, I know both of you here were suggesting that Sligo can produce a goal, but...
Well, obviously from a set-piece period of what we've seen, and also if Rovers allow them to play the fullbacks in the Rovers half, they will develop play from there. And I think if McCabe, you know, Ventry, the balance is not right, they're playing everything out to the right hand side, and it was noted by the commentary in the first half. If Ventry looks to the left when he gets in possession, gets McCabe on the ball, he can come inside and have a strike. I think it possibly could come from a set-piece.
Okay, well, as you can see, the teams are now back out on the pitch here at the Aviva Stadium. The second half almost ready to go. Let's rejoin our commentary team of Damien Richardson and George Hamilton.
Thank you, Peter. No changes on either side for the second half. Sligo Rovers defending the Havelock Square end for this second half. Of course, it'll be decided today, so if it's all square at 90 minutes, we'll have extra time, and if it's all square after that, there would be penalties. But is it going to go that far? Last season in Tala, Sporting Fingal won it in the last 10 minutes of the game after Sligo Rovers had taken the lead. We shall see how this develops in the Aviva. Forward from Stevens, ball's gone out. Just a reminder of the two lineups. No Matthew Blinkhorn, two suspensions for Sligo Rovers. Twig has not yet got on the score sheet yet as Sligo Rovers move forward. The first shot in anger of the second half. Gary McCabe has gone rather widely away.
It's this sort of decision in a cup final, George, that will be very important, because Devoran has gone on the outside there to give him support, and he has a shot. Like Twig, I've nothing against it, but you've got to hit the target. That's the real keynote if you take the responsibility to having a shot.
Ventre. Davern. How to play it goes. Well, packed gallery watching. And the good news is that this, in modern times, would be a record crowd for an FAI Ford Cup final. 36,000 in the Aviva Stadium. That certainly beats Ireland against South Africa in the rugby.
Well, it's a great return, and again, as I said earlier, an indication of the potential and the attraction that lies in Irish professional football. It's very important here on in that the FAI, the league itself, and all the clubs start to manufacture and produce the product in a much better and more consistent fashion.
Well, it's also worth bearing in mind that at €10 a ticket, it's cheaper to spend your afternoon in the Aviva at the FAI Cup final than a Friday night at a stadium around the country.
Except that British League of One fans don't care what they spend watching the clubs.
Touche. Anyway, it's been a great success, the marketing initiative by the FAI, and credit where credit is due. 36,000 in the FAI Cup final. No chance here for Shamrock Rovers, and that has just squirted past. Twig might just have got a touch as that went on the way through.
It's these sort of situations that can produce a winner. Bradley attacks the ball very well, just put under pressure, can't control the shot at goal, and Twig, it just flashed past Twig.
Just completing the point about the 36,000. You know, when you think this is the era of all-seater stadia, and you might have beaten that in when they packed them in like sardines in the Dalymount, they all stood around. This is an incredible crowd for an all-seater event in domestic football. It really is a credit to the fans and credit to the two teams for putting on the show that they have. So far, so good. Joseph Ndo. Russell losing out to Stephen Rice. Enda. Into Stevens, that is. Thundering challenge by Turner. And Doe very clever there, just sucked in Tommy Stewart, let the ball bounce, and took control of it. We'll begin to pull the strings. Bocco now. Bocco dispossessed by Stephen Bradley. Turner. And Dennehy in Eastcourt. Challenge from behind by Kane. Free kick to Shamrock Rovers.
It was a challenge from behind, illegal nowadays. It was good, there was contact there. When you think of what the referee's given yellow cards out before in the first half, and he hasn't given one out there, that's where I strive for the consistency from referees, irrespective of the occasion.
Enda Stevens. Challenge there by Loughlin. Stephen Rice. Doe in. Oh, cleverly done. Piers on for Kane. Now it's Bocco. Smart turn. Russell there. Put out of play by Sivers. It's a fabulous game at the back, Craig Sivers. Stevens cutting it out. Dennehy, that's come back from Kane. Dennehy took it away from Russell. And then it's Bradley on for Stephen Rice. Sligo keeping the pressure on Shamrock Rovers, forcing them back to Manus. Then that's forward towards Stewart, won by Ventre. And Turner, it's out for a throw to Sligo Rovers.
It's very hard to play against Sligo, George, and they play that three in the middle of the park and the two wingers, and they drop deep and then they close you down. You've got to move the ball very, very quickly, or like Shamrock Rovers, you have to go back.
Stevens sliding in, he just caught Doyle there, no foul. Doyle not very happy about it, but the referee insisting there was nothing untoward. Layoff by Turner for Stewart, back for Turner again, a first-time ball on for Denny. Denny tried to thread it through to Stewart, it was read by Bocco. Ventre and Piers. It's Sivers in the way. Turner hoisting one look with the run of Stewart, but Piers was aware of the danger. It's a very cagey opening to the second half. Not as much invention as developed through the first. It's Bocco. Russell. Now Kane and Bocco. Helped on towards Kane. Russell says leave it to me, but they made a bit of a mess of it between them there. Bradley and Twig and Stewart. Tommy Stewart now is peeling away was James Chambers. Stewart's down, it's in towards Twig. Oh, and he put that straight into the arms of Kieran Kelly. Stewart's still down.
Yes, and a definite free kick there. The referee gave a good advantage. King Twig at the far post really hadn't much to head at, George. When we look at this here, keeper covers the angle. There's not a lot we can do. You can see the ball here from the right. It's a decent ball, to be fair, but Twig has nothing to aim at.
So Stewart gets attention and Jim Loughlin gets a yellow card. Both Sligo central defenders have gone in the referee's notebook, as well as Joseph and Doe for something pretty innocuous. Tommy Stewart has had the treatment, so he has to go off the pitch. It was a foul on Tommy Stewart. This is why he got the yellow.
This will be termed an acceptable yellow, George. Definitely a yellow card, definitely a free kick. But he stopped Stewart getting into the box in support. Otherwise, Twig might have had somebody else, another option to head the ball back to Stewart. So sensible play by Loughlin, if not really in keeping with the spirit of the game.
And Loughlin plays the ball to the wing to Davern. Stewart is now back on the pitch and straight into challenge and Doe. And then another hefty Shamrock Rovers challenge has gone in. And Piers cuts it out. McCabe gets back on his feet, but it's Sligo Rovers who are under pressure now. Cross from Stevens, no. And Kane handled the ball, insisting it hit him in the midriff. Referee says no. It's a free kick to Shamrock Rovers.
Well, I thought that was a free kick way up the park. A foul on John Russell. I think the referee again made a little error there. I don't know whether he tried to give advantage or not, but it backfired on him. And now Shamrock Rovers in a very good position to take advantage of a situation that maybe shouldn't have been given to them.
Siv is up then, and they've left back Pat Flynn and Stephen Rice, so just Siv is up from the back. Shamrock Rovers fans raise the scarves and sing, and it's played straight in and ineffectively by James Chambers, straight at the goalkeeper Kelly.
It wasn't a waste. I think it was a decent ball. Anybody attacking the near post getting across the goalkeeper could have made it a very good ball.
Flynn stood his ground. Then Dennehy lost his footing. Now it's Ndo. And on for Davern. Davern for McCabe. Rice is there. Ball is out. Throw to Shamrock Rovers. Twig to chase. It's gone right over the top. It's Dennehy now against Kane. And he was caught by the defender, who protests. And it's a yellow card for Alan Kane. Fourth Sligo player to be booked.
Keane is contesting this yellow card as a free kick. The arm is across the chest. Really, he has no cause of complaint. The referee is quite entitled to give a free kick there. The fact that it's not a yellow card might cost Sligo before the game is out, George.
Lachlan Pearce, Kane from the defence, and Joseph Ndo all in yellows. Nobody from Shamrock Rovers as yet. Been cautioned that the free kick to come for Shamrock Rovers. Chambers, Kelly comes and sees it safely in his hands. Put pressure on Ndo, but Ndo's got it away, and Bocco too. Advantage play. There was a foul on Ndo. McCabe, Doyle on for Bocco, men in the middle for him, a decent ball in there just over the head of Russell. It's come down for McCabe, too high. A great chance for Sligo.
George, the impetuosity of youth. This was a golden opportunity. He got all the breaks in the wall. It came back, good first touch. He just didn't get over the ball again.
Bray Wanderers top scorer last year. An opportunity to whack it home.
Keep it down. The keeper has no chance. Along the ground, the keeper only have the side footer with a little bit of pace. It was a goal.
In the build-up to that, as Ndo was caught, Stephen Bradley wasn't stopped with a free kick, but he did get the yellow card when it was all over. So that's 5 now. 4 to Sligo and Stephen Bradley for Shamrock Rovers. This is broken free now to Russell. Doyle ahead of him, and Russell went for the shot. It's come down for Doyle. Doyle allowed himself to be bossed out of it by Rice. And Davern was caught, and Tommy Stewart is going to go in the book as well.
I think he's unlucky, Stuart. I can see why the referee's giving a yellow card, because it wasn't quite a high challenge, but the ball was there, and that's what encouraged Thomas Stewart to go for it. When we watch it here, George, the ball, it does bounce up a little bit. He just foot just a little bit high.
There they are. Those are the players who've had yellow cards, and then Doe's taken the free kick. Back again from Kane. Oh, that's fallen down here for Russell. And Russell couldn't get the shot away first time, couldn't get away second time. Sivers was in the way, and that's gone out for goal kick.
We see a player here, great play by Sivers again, but John Russell is the key for me to Sligo Rovers. So many times he's promised to do something of substance, and just at the last moment he's always tried to complicate a little bit. He pulls inside, right idea, just loses that touch control of the ball before he can put it across the keeper's right.
Well, they're really happy to be here, aren't they? This historic occasion. Hard to believe it's 20 years since it first came to Lansdowne Road. Bray and St. Francis. 33,000 that day, but over 36 now. There you are, 36,101 is the attendance, and that is terrific for the Electricity League.
Yes, it is. It's a magnificent turnout, George, and the fans are getting value for the money. The only thing missing from this game is a goal, really, that would take it to a different level, set it alight, if you like. But it's not for the want of trying from either team. Sligo just like to stretch the play wide and stretch that midfield of Shamrock Rovers.
You were back 20 years there, were you?
I got carried away there a bit.
James Chambers. This is down for Turner, and Twiggs in chase, and Pearce is with him. League's top scorer. Gary Twigg, and return from Turner, just too firm.
Great running by Twig, George, to get into that corner. I mean, lung-bursting run. You can see he hadn't got the energy at the end of it. That's all that cost him here to go for this return ball. He'd run 60 yards across the channel into that far corner flag.
Well, however hard he tries, I don't think his raised voice is going to be heard in here.
I think once he hears himself, he's half happy anyway.
There's something in that, Damien. But one thing about the Aviva Stadium is the way it has been constructed. It keeps the noise in. There's a great atmosphere when there's a crowd in. Bocco. Firm header by Flynn. Twig. Stewart. It's come here to Stewart again. Oh, good tackle that. Came in from Russell. And now it's with Bocco as Kane goes round the outside. Gone inside for Rindeau. It'll come for Ventre. And Ventre on for Davron. McCabe. And McCabe. I didn't appreciate that. It's headed away by Stevens. It's come out to Bocco. And Bocco going to have a go. Stopped inevitably by Civez. Billy Dennehy back for Civez again. Oh, not going to let him get away. Gary McCabe.
That's what Sligo do very well, George. They close the ball very high up the park, stop you building from the back. Here we see both Civez in action again. That shot by Bocco was definitely on target. Civez has been everywhere this team have needed him throughout this game so far.
Running repairs for Romuald Bocco. And the foul by Loughlin over the shoulders of Twig.
It's very important when you're a centre-half. You don't get too tight to your centre-forward. Give yourself a step into it so you challenge the ball over the centre-forward. You got tight there and gave away a silly free kick.
Shamrock Rovers then with an opportunity. 6 men across the 18-yard line. Flick on by Turner, who gets clattered by his own player, Civez. I don't think he was too pleased about that.
Well, I wouldn't have been too pleased about it, but I would have been even less pleased about the quality of the free kick in. When you get a free kick, you put it in behind the back four. It's way in front of the back four. The defenders don't have to do anything. They're knocking themselves over, Shamrock Rovers.
Craig Civez defending well. Well, at the Sligo end, they're going bananas. I'd say they go bananas in the town itself if they should get a breakthrough here. I suppose it's the old story, isn't it? Last out, switch off the lights and see the whole Sligo's here. And they enjoyed that. Civez caught out. Pressure from Kane. Throw in on for Russell. And defended by Enda Stevens. It's a corner to Sligo Rovers, which is the first corner of the second half.
We could see the pressure from Sligo Rovers high up the field, putting Civez under pressure. Then a quick throw in. Bright and inventive again by Sligo. They've got to pick the tempo up, get more possession of the ball, try and keep the ball up this end of the field, hoping and believing they can make this important breakthrough.
Referee wants a word. Civez, who's gone to the back of the box to defend it. That'll be taken by Endo. Pearce goes up. Seemed to hang in the air there for quite a while, Gavin Pearce. The header was too high.
It was a superb ball in, George, plenty of pace. He was up a little bit early. He did manage to stay up there somehow, defying the laws of gravity, but just couldn't stay up there long enough to get over the ball to head it down. But again, half a good opportunity.
Well, Craig Sivers needs some attention. Sivers just being led over to the touchline.
They won't want him to be off too long, George.
In the middle, Desi Baker. He's about to come on as a substitute for Shamrock Rovers, and after a stellar career, this will be Desi Baker's last appearance in senior football. Twig was pushing.
There's nothing worse when you're centre forward and you push back in and you do your job properly, you think, and the referee gives a free kick against you.
There's a little bit of edginess creeping in.
That's passion, isn't it? I mean, Twig doesn't think he did anything wrong there. His dander is still up a little bit. I didn't think he did much, but two Scotsmen there having a go. It's not unusual, is it?
Well, the dispute began in the Banks the Clyde. Sligo continue with Ndo. Oh, what vision! Pick out McCabe. Good first touch. Gary McCabe. We're going to have another go. And slide it through the Bocco. Just lost his footing. And there is the goal kick that's resulted. Now Sivers is back after his treatment. Still no sign of Desi Baker, who's still got the tracksuit top on. The moment hasn't just come yet. Report from the physio to Michael O'Neill before any further decisions are taken.
Wait and see how Sivers goes over the next few minutes, George. Did he make it an entirely different type of substitution?
It's Davarin holding off Twig. Loughlin, Kieran Kelly towards Bocco. Oh, he got up really well, didn't he? And Doyle's there. Smart movement from the central to striker, and now it's with Russell. Doyle in the middle. Russell delivering. Good ball in there. Oh, it was Ventry who was up. Doyle's up there to Danny Ventry. Couldn't get turned on it. Doyle might. Goal kick.
It's tantalisingly close, but not quite right for him. He knew that wasn't correct, but he knew he had to have a go for it. But it was a great layoff by Doyle, who came across Flynn there. This is a superb ball into the back post. Rice just gets it away. Doyle makes something out of nothing again. Venter can't get on the end of it, and it just breaks away from Doyle.
Owen Doyle, who scored the first goal in the cup final last year as a 21-year-old. No joy this time. Flynn. There's the other consideration if you're thinking of making a substitution, is that this is stalemate. It goes on into extra time. You don't want to play all your cards in the 90 if it's looking like it's going to end up even, Stephen.
That's something that Michael O'Neill will be considered, but I think he feels that Shamrock Rovers have lost the impetus in the middle of the park. They need the charisma of Desi Baker, who is a great captainess. He can bring the supporters to the team.
So here we are with the midpoint in the second half reached. Shamrock Rovers make their first change, and Desi Baker, who won the FAI Cup 3 times in his career, twice with Shelburne and once with Longford Town. Not to mention a clutch of league medals as well. 4 Premier League medals, including one this season. He's on now for his last big game. Ventry's okay. Desi Baker, this is the valedictory salute. The man has given such great service to Shelburne, to Longford Town, to Dundalk, and finally to Shamrock Rovers.
Yes, indeed. He'll go play up front. Thomas Chu will go play on the right-hand side, keeping Billy Dennehy on the left. So it's the same formation, same style, but Joseph and Doyle
did really well there, and he might still, yes, he's helped it on to Russell, who's helped it on and turned to Ventry. And Sligo showing determination. It's Kane Kane slipped it through here with Bocco, and Manis to the rescue again, not for the first time from Bocco. Ball still in play. Kane and Bocco, and Kane again, back to Ventry. Ventry just deceiving Desi Baker there, and now it's Ndo. All the way across towards McCabe. Davern wins it back. It's McCabe. Chance for McCabe. And Manis is down to save again. And the pendulum is just swinging in favour of Sligo Rovers.
At least McCabe is hitting the target now, George. The real thing here, could Doyle have got a touch on that ball there? Did he come across the goalkeeper? Keeper kept his eye on the ball. Got her at the second attempt. And here's Bocco's chance away. Great ball inside. Hitch has to hit it early. Keeper stays up, stays strong, keeps a very, very good position.
Meanwhile, at the other end,
it's that sort of game,
isn't it?
It's that sort of game.
Free kick to Shamrock Rovers. You can't take your eyes off it for a moment. 70 minutes have elapsed.
And it's young Desi Baker who hit this one, I think. He seems fully intent on making the most explosive impact possible. Or has he been pushed away from it?
No.
By Billy Dennehy?
No, it's Dennehy. It's too high at the waist.
I tell you what, I won't even have to suggest what Desi Baker was saying to him there.
Oh dear, yes, Billy Dennehy. Somewhat Desi Baker's junior. Desi's 33 now, Billy's 10 years younger. Ndo. He's looking for Bocco's presence. He played it straight towards Stevens. Stevens' header goes to Kane. And it's Russell. Ventry. Ventry through the challenge there of Bradley. Bocco. Ventry. Swung in but too close to Manis. In fact, it's over the crossbar for a goal kick.
It was a bit ambitious there by Ventry because Owen Doyle was in the box all on his own there. It was, and to keep the patience in the build-up, keep moving it.
Tony O'Donoghue is with the Shamrock Rovers manager Michael O'Neill.
And Michael bringing Desi Baker, and obviously you want to get a goal, but what's the tactical change?
Well, we've just dropped Tommy on the right-hand side. Desi hopefully will link things up a wee bit for us. We started the second half well. Sligo have come back in now again, but we're trying to get as many forward players on the pitch as possible to try and get that goal. We'll try and win it in 90 minutes, but if we have to go longer, we will.
Thank you.
Baker has made a block there by Davern, meant it didn't get to its target, but Shamrock Rovers still in possession. Bradley. Baker. Nice little ball on there, but the combination between Dennehy and Bradley, it's ended up as a throw to Shamrock Rovers. Headed away by Ventry. Doyle comes, got there first. Oh, important interception that was Flynn, but Shamrock Rovers are now being pushed back. Bocco, Kane joins the attack. That's on for Kane. Great run by the fullback, Alan Kane. Good ball into Doyle. Oh, he just couldn't connect. Brilliant play by Kane. Support up the inside of Bocco. And now Shamrock Rovers with a chance to counter-attack. And Doe's cut it out. But now they're away. Dennehy. Can he keep it in play? No, the answer. How frustrating.
Shamrock Rovers with 2v2 up the front there. Sligo have committed so many people to attack, and this man almost produced the perfect ball. Look at that great run. Look at Doyle at the back post. Pull away, and the ball was just a yard ahead of him.
Exciting break by Sligo's right back. Talk about lung bursting. That was a lung bursting run he put in there. Doyle, and the push. It's offside against Doyle. He protests, but the decision's been made by Damien McGrath. Now more from the Sligo bench. Jerry Carr, the assistant manager, with Tony.
Jerry, you're on top, and you just need to get that goal, don't you?
Yeah, we're we got them in at half time. We've tried to get our full-backs a bit wider so we can pass it a bit better. We've done all right first half. Now we're in the ascendancy. Fingers crossed time. We just need that goal.
If it goes to extra time?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. You know, both sides will make changes all along. We'll see. No, it's a good game, as I said before. It's a good spectacle. We'll keep passing it. We'll keep trying to open them up. And, you know, if there's a goal up there, we'll get our goal.
Thank you.
Gavin Pearce defended it.
Super ball, George, and a great ball into the box. Away from the goalkeeper, Gavin Pearce, perfectly positioned.
Which brings us to a corner for Shamrock Rovers, which is their first of the second half and only their third of the game, to 6 for Sligo. It's Desi Baker, and Kelly's there to try and fist it, and he hasn't succeeded, and it's defended on the post and away. Sligo really under pressure, and the whistle's gone. The challenge by Turner, free kick to Sligo. Yellow card, another one, 7th of the game. How dramatic was that? Shamrock Rovers so close to taking the lead.
Great ball by Desi Bay. Keeper just doesn't get to it. Up in the air. This one is brave defending. Somebody's hit the head up. There was Alan Kane. Well, greater love hath no man, George.
Well, he nearly had his head knocked off by Billy Denny in the first half when he stumbled, but put his head where braver men mightn't have.
He did again.
And he's done it again.
He did it, yeah.
Here's Dennehy. But Dameron, brilliant play. Brilliant. No. So much to admire about both teams and the way they've played this game and the skill and the commitment that they brought to it. And here's Kane, none the worse for crashing into the goal post and preventing what would have been Shamrock Rovers' lead goal. Bocco. No. Straight down the middle towards Doyle. He's got there. On towards Russell. And a challenge by Sivers has left Sivers down and Doyle down. Not Doyle, I should say, Russell. I think might have been a clash of heads in there as they saw only the ball.
I think you're right there, George. They did only see the ball. It's a good observation, because both went for the ball. Neither had a mind for the other one, did they? And it was a hard bang.
This is it from the other angle.
Yeah. Oh yes. Many times have you seen centre halves break the nose in those situations. That's why I never moved back to that position, George. I stayed well away from it.
Well, Aidan Price, the regular in the centre half back position, wasn't fit enough to start the game, but he is on the bench, and that's him now, warming up in case Sivers has to come off.
I don't see Sivers coming off, George. He seems always going to have to get stitched by the looks of it.
Just on the bridge of his nose there, a whack. That was sore, and it's messy too.
There's a quick job for the doctor.
Well, courage personified. He's had a great game, Craig Sivers.
Yes, he has.
It's not over yet. 12 minutes to go. Russell's okay in terms of the treatment he required is complete. But there's a little patchwork has to be done on Craig Sivers.
I mean, that just reflects the type of game we've had, George. It's been wonderful attitude from the players on both sides. Sometimes the referee felt a little bit overzealous, but I feel overall it's been a terrific game. But Sligo Rovers, can they take advantage in the few minutes that Sivers is going to be off the park?
Well, they're doing the attention on the touchline. They're magnificent medical facilities here, including dentist chairs for the stitching of face wounds.
Yes, they had, but I said I kept well away from those sort of issues, George.
And Craig Sivers is staying well out of there as well. They don't want to take the time to take him in and deal with it inside. It's being patched up on the touchline, and he will be back. Meanwhile, Shamrock Rovers continue with 10 men. Gavin Pearce has been a rock too for his team.
Yes, he has. Stalwart this afternoon, Gavin. As usual, he's the most consistent centre half. One of the most consistent we've had in the league for many years.
Sivers just about ready to come back. The corner men have done their job. It's Bradley. Peters. It's going to Stewart. Oh, Twig kept himself onside brilliantly. Now does he get support in the middle? Stewart's there, Dennehy's arriving too, and also there is Desi Baker. It's Twig. It'll be Baker who'll try and retrieve it, but that was an important touch from Iarla Davern. And then not such a good touch by Chris Turner, and it's out for a throw to Sligo Rovers. And what a game Iarla Davern's had at left back.
An immaculate touch off, because Desi Baker, the predator that he is, was hanging right behind him, hoping he wouldn't get a touch on that ball. He's been quite resplendent, Davern, all afternoon.
Well, you won't want to miss this on Monday, tomorrow evening. A review of what's been a magnificent season of great league race and a fabulous cup final to top it off. 7 o'clock, RTE2 M&S. Now Wednesday, as well as Ireland against Norway, we've got Brazil against Argentina for you to enjoy. 10 o'clock. And here we've got, 10 minutes of an FAI Cup final that might run on.
Well, it looks like it's going to run on, George, because the teams are very evenly matched. Sligo have the better technical quality, but Shamrock Rovers have this wonderful tenacity about them.
Sivas is back from his injury. And he's challenging Doyle here. Barco just overran the pass. Tommy Stewart came in. It's a throw into Sligo Rovers.
Young Doyle has played very well. He's led the line, he's made himself available, he's done everything he can to bring people into the game. He just hasn't had that one opportunity that he's been waiting for all afternoon.
It's Loughlin. Back to Kelly. Barco came back from an offside position.
Linesman was absolutely correct there. He's a bit lazy coming back. Buckle more to maybe the time is run. But he is a super athlete. And he can, for a small man, he climbs so high, and he can manage to hold it just that little split second and touch it over the defender. You can see across the park elements of fatigue coming into the play, which is quite understandable. But it's the mental concentration, the mental toughness will be the most important part.
Davern did well again. He brings it out of defence. And now it's with McCabe. McCabe, Kane. And on for Bocco. Kane. And Bradley broke it up. Now it's Stewart. Sivas. Davern there first. And Flynn and Doyle went for that, and the referee's given the free kick against Owen Doyle.
I referee, I'd have tended to let that one play, because again both players were going for the ball, although foot was a little bit high, to be fair to the referee. Give him credit when we have to, George, when we should. I mean, it's not been a difficult game to manage from a refereeing point of view, but
7 yellow cards. Maybe that was a little
on the heavy side, I think. Yes,
it's a good word for it, heavy. I nearly said generous, but dishing out yellow cards is hardly generous. Now it's Dennehy against Davern. Tied it up by Loughlin. McCabe looking for Russell, but he's got the better McCabe of Russell rather of Bradley. And on it goes for Bocco. And Stevens just slid in there to get it, but it's kept in play by Kane. And now it's Bocco taking on Stevens. And Bocco slipping one through there. Oh, a chance for McCabe. McCabe. Oh, is that a handball? No. Pat Flynn got his body in the way. McCabe was picking his spot. And Bray's top scorer of last year nearly wrote himself cup final glory.
And this was great play on his part, George, and it was a wonderful opportunity, and it was hitting the target until Pat Flynn intervened. We'll see Flynn here come from nowhere like the Cape Crusader maybe. Look at him. That's brilliant defending again. And that's a great layoff by Russell. And the turn in, it takes the defender out of the game, but there's Flynn. There's Flynn. Very brave.
No question of a handball. It struck him on the shoulder blade on his back. Shamrock Rovers, Chris Turner suffering from cramp.
not surprised, George. Himself and Bradley, 2 against 3, mainly in the middle of the park, have run miles this afternoon. And when you think Chris Turner's been getting up in support of the front men as well, cramp would be a very natural
A young man from North Antrim, where they tend to go for motorbikes rather more than football, Ballymoney. But he, to use that phrase, shows a great engine himself, doesn't he? There's a turn there by Russell, but well defended by Stevens, helped on by Turner, who's back on the pitch. That was Fentrey, no foul. Lindo, Doyle, Civis, and now Bradley for Twig, and Twig for Desi Baker. Dennehy makes ground up the far side. Just one change among the substitutes. If extra time does come, Sligo Rovers have a full bench to contemplate, including 2 goalkeepers.
You never know.
I suggest that Richard Brush is there with his broken wrist because it's a cup final and he deserves a seat on the bench for all that he's given Sligo Rovers. But the main man between the posts that they need would be John Gibson, the Scot. Dennehy, cut out by Loughlin, and Doe, and Ventry. Ventry for Doyle. Doyle is a little push there by Flynn. No, referee said it was okay. That's Dennehy. Dennehy shot, side net. Corner, took a touch.
It was a good save, George. I didn't think he got a touch sitting up here. He obviously did. Comes in on his left foot, Billy Denny. Hits it very, very well. And the keeper did get a touch. Maybe didn't need it, but you can't have too much assurance.
So 3.5 minutes to go. Dennehy with the corner. Twig! And another save by Kelly.
I'm not sure why Gary McCabe came off the near post there, George. Watch him vacate that near post. Keeper has to make a good save. Why did McCabe do that?
Astonishing, you're there to defend the post, but he didn't. But the keeper did, and now it's Desi Baker with the corner. Bocco away. Bradley too high. Stephen Bradley's shot.
Stephen Bradley's a good from that area. You can see him here trying to keep it down, getting at it early.
And this was Gary McCabe's little 2-step off the post.
He obviously has great faith in his goalkeeper, George.
That worked for them that time. Nansen Doe. And on for Kane. Russell taking on Civis, and goal kick is the outcome. And with just over 2 minutes plus whatever to go, you feel if one of these teams were to score, that could be that.
Clever defending by Cives. Puts his arm on the back of Russell, most definitely. Linesman didn't seem to notice. But Cives is struggling physically like a lot of players across the park. It's a huge pitch, George. It's been a high-tempo game, and we have people out there struggling. And it is that mental energy, that's dedication to the cause, that's keeping them going.
Davern with a challenge. Came down for Dennehy. Davern again. Davern holding off Turner. Free kick, Sligo.
Coming into the time Sligo lost it last year, George, could they manage to make a dramatic victory?
Yep, Sporting Fingal did it with late goals. Penalty and then a winner. But it's all square here still. And we await the first cup final goal in the Aviva Stadium. Piers. It's Bradley. And the free kick's awarded in his favour. Oof. Late in the day for this. Carry on.
Russell feels Bradley is stealing a few yards, which he is.
Calm, says referee Tomas Connolly. And now take it back. The referee is insisting. Well, it may be 0-0, but it certainly hasn't played like a 0-0. There'll be 3 additional minutes.
No, it hasn't. You're quite correct. There's been plenty of incident in the game, plenty of good quality. Maybe something dramatic to come yet.
Twig. McCabe couldn't quite win it back. Helped on there into the corner by Rice, and assisting the scene. A foul by Desi Baker. It's going to be a free kick to Sligo.
At this stage of the game, you want the ball as far away from your goal as possible. Anything coming near your box at this stage of the game is very, very dangerous, very nerve-wracking.
Kieran Kelly sends it long. Flynn with a header, then it's Baker. Dennehy. Bradley. Look for the run of Dennehy into the corner. Loughlin has gone across to take no chances. Throw into Shamrock Rovers.
Long throw from Rice, George. Injury time.
Shamrock Rovers fans are making more noise now. I think Sligo have been here before 12 months ago and don't want it to happen again. Well, they sent a double. And here comes Stephen Rice's long throw. Defended by Ventre. Desi Baker, acrobatic. Tommy Stewart. Stewart's lost his footing. And he might have hurt himself in the process. Or maybe it's cramped too. Doyle too high for him. And Manis leaves his area. Tommy Stewart's down and unable to take any further part in the game at the moment, and it's cramped back at his feet. The additional 3 minutes with 1 still to run. He just stretched himself here, and I think that probably was the moment when the calf muscle seized up on it.
Reacted in protest.
Yeah, it's that right leg. Well,
plans afoot. 2 boys thinking about what they're going to do, what they're going to say during the little break between extra time.
Well, it's certainly looking like it's going to be heading into extra time. The 90 minutes are up. We're playing the additional time that Tomas Connolly is adding on. Just 2 years ago, it went to penalties. Bohemians beat Derry City. And last year it nearly went to extra time.
At least the fans have the energy to jump up.
Well, there's the final whistle of the 90. And despite the best efforts of both, there hasn't been a goal to show for it. But Alan Manis has been the busier goalkeeper. Shamrock Rovers came stronger towards the end of the 90. But there's more to come. Don't go anywhere. 0-0 at full time. Extra time to come. That's the way it is after 90 minutes. Sligo Rovers 0, Shamrock Rovers 0. We'll be right back.
And you're very welcome back to Lansdowne Road's Aviva Stadium, where the 2010 FAI Ford Cup Final is set for extra time. It's Sligo Rovers 0, Shamrock Rovers 0. Let's rejoin Damien and George.
Thank you, Peter. Well, we're all set to go for the first of the 30 minutes additional. 2 years ago, Bows and Derry played out a draw. Went to penalties, and Bows won that 4-2. It's the third time that Sligo and Shamrock Rovers have met in the FAI Cup Final. Both previous occasions, Shamrock Rovers won. 1940 3-0, 1978 1-0 by a disputed penalty. And so the first period of extra time is underway. Sligo Rovers playing towards the end where the Shamrock Rovers fans are massed, and that's a lovely flick on by Doyle, and it's Russell, and Russell still, it'll come back for Boku. Boku's cross headed away by Rice. In goes Ndo, but he was beaten to it by Turner. And then it's Desi Baker on for Twig. And Loughlin goes with him. And Kane goes to fill in the middle. It's now Tommy Stewart. Lots of calf massaging going on both sides in the interval between full time and the start of extra time. Obviously, the Aviva pitch is sapping the energy from those legs. McCabe away from Dennehy. Bocco. So these are the lineups as they are. Sligo Rovers have yet to make a substitution. Shamrock Rovers have made the only switch, sending on Desi Baker for James Chambers. Confirmation that will come in a moment. Bocco. I was wondering about the strength of the Sligo bench, given that they've found a seat for Richard Brush, the second goalkeeper among the subs. Are they a bit lightweight today?
I think they are. I mean, you look at it, Conor O'Grady could be the one who you would think would come on. The rest are quite young players in particular, but Conor O'Grady would give you that experience. But then again, if you look at it, Danny Ventre and Joseph Ndo have done very well in there, so maybe if they get a goal up, we might see a change.
Bounce took it away from Tommy Stewart. Now it's Enda Stevens, tracked back by Bocco. Bocco fighting hard, but it's gone out off him. It's a throw into Shamrock Rovers. Desi Baker, denied by Ventre.
The contrast of the Shamrock Rovers bench, George, you look at Paddy Kavanagh and you got Neil Fenn, Aidan Price, Desi Baker who's come on, and Danny Murphy as well. It's a bench packed with experience. Sligo feel themselves a little bit hamstrung in many respects.
It's all the way through to Kelly. Loughlin.
I think the game has actually dropped a notch, as you would expect.
It's Loughlin steering it back to Kelly. McCabe just not able to bring it under control. You can appreciate why the authorities would want to end the match on the day and conclude the season, but you know what we've seen here, 36,101 have paid in. It's been a great game. It may now be decided by fatigue in the lottery of extra time or even the lottery of penalties. You know, wouldn't it be great if Wednesday night, well, it couldn't be back on Wednesday night because there's an international on, but Thursday night back in the Aviva for a replay?
Yes, that's a very good point. I think the reason not is because previously we didn't have a proper venue for cup final and maybe couldn't have an extra night for a replay. But now we have the Aviva, we can do it. So maybe that is a good point for the future, George.
We make the best of what we've got. Both sides do too on the day that's in it. Sligo Rovers digging deep into their reserves of energy. Tommy Stewart challenging Bocco. Back to Ndo. Ndo swinging it in towards Doyle. He's beaten there by Flynn. It's come out to Kane. Kane for Bocco. Bocco for Ndo. Decent keep ball by Sligo out there. Kane, oh, just lost his footing at the wrong moment. Enda Stevens away, but that'll go straight to Pearce. Bocco. And now Ventre. Ventre sweeping one towards McCabe, but seen all the way by Rice. Dennehy getting the better of Davern. Dennehy loves to run, and Davern's going to chase him all the way. Decent ball in there, just swirled over the bar.
Just that right foot of Billy Denny's not as good as the left foot, as we saw there, but he's attacking the fullback again. Something's always got to be encouraged. He knows what he wants to do, but he doesn't do it. It's time now, Josh. Sorry, George. The players need the supporters to come into it, don't they? That's exactly what they need. The supporters lift the players.
Well, yes, because it's got to be hurting now. Offside against Billy Dennehy there.
Yes.
You can just imagine if, you know, whichever side you're playing for, you can hear your fans say, come on, just a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the hamstrings, the calves will be telling the players, look, we've had enough, take it easy. But the mind is the one that should control now. No, we want more coal on the fire. Let's get going again.
Well, it's tea time. It's been a while since 3:30 when this game started. And evening in Dublin 4. It's come down for Doyle. Oh dear, oh dear. John Russell attempted to get out of the way, but ended up getting in the way. It's Kane, lofted towards Doyle. Doyle up there, headed away by Flynn. Sivers completes the job up towards Desi Baker. It's Loughlin. Then Dennehy for Shamrock Rovers.
It's important, George, when you get tired, to keep possession of the ball. Make the opposition do the running.
Bocco. Kane and Doe. And this is where the Gary Cook manual will be recalled. Do the simple things and do them well. Free kick. Foul against Flynn. And Davron's taken it too quickly for the referee's liking, which is probably just as well from Sligo's point of view. Nobody was quite expecting that.
It's good to see a bit of initiative, especially at this late stage in the proceedings. But I mean, it was about 10 yards away from the free kick was actually committed. But I mean, it's Sligo are keeping the ball. They're the more intelligent at the moment anyway. Playing in the right way, as you say, the Paul Cook way.
Joseph Doe is going to take the free kick. Headed away by Bradley, but Shamrock Rovers haven't really cleared their lines. It's Kane. Helped on there by McCabe for Russell. McCabe, Davron's joined the attack. McCabe still. McCabe tried to go all the way. He's got the corner out of it.
Excellent play by young Gary McCabe there at this stage of the game. Taking people on, getting into the penalty area. A great belief in his ability here. Good feet at this stage too. Driving in, just a little bit unfortunate that he can't get that ball back to Owen Doyle.
Sligo do have a corner, which is their 7th to 5 for Shamrock Rovers. Joseph Doe. Manus with a confident catch. Swift release for Billy Dennehy. Ventry has closed down on him. Ventry's won it back, and now it's Davron. And there's the Sligo way. Get it out of the tight zone, give it to a player in space, and retain the possession.
Eminently simple, eminently sensible.
Piers. And now Loughlin.
You have to feel for the players at the moment with the fatigue, but a goal now would transform the game and drag extra efforts physically and mentally out of every player in the park.
And Doe. Came up in the touchline. That's a ball for Russell. Russell challenged then by Tommy Stewart. Russell into the corner. And free kicks awarded for a handball, I think, against John Russell.
He's been very good, I feel, John Russell. He's covered a lot of area, a lot of ground, George. Just been a little bit unfortunate that his final product hasn't been as productive as he would want. Even this effort here, but he tries manfully to keep it in play. He could have given about 5 free kicks there in both directions, I feel. But look at the fatigue on the faces of the players. They've given everything.
There is about to be a change made, but not quite yet. Or is it? No. Paddy Cavan is going to come on for Tommy Stewart, but not yet. Aimed at Twig, who won it. Desi Baker losing out to Loughlin, and Pearse will send it back to Kelly. Kane. Sligo content to play it around. Paul Cook wants to play it a bit further away from their own goal. Winding up the pitch. So Davern sent it long towards Doyle. And foul by Doyle on Rice. Still Shamrock Rovers hold on. Don't substitute yet. But Paddy Cavanagh's ready and waiting. Davern. Ventre. And on for Pearse. Kane is there too. Tommy Stewart, closest to him, the player who's about to be replaced.
You can understand people being somewhat fearful of making a mistake at this stage, George, with the fatigue and so much riding on it as well.
Well, there's Bocco and Doyle combining, but out of the middle comes Flynn. He's kept it in play. No, he hasn't kept it in play. It seemed he was in control of it, but throw-in will come. But first the substitution, and it's Paddy Kavanagh, product of Wayside Celtic in Kilternan in South Dublin, formerly of UCD. Going to come on in place of the former Linfield man Tommy Stewart, who's scored some crucial goals for Shamrock Rovers this season, not least the one that got them into the tie against Juventus in the Europa League. But he's run his course this afternoon, 103rd minute. So Tommy Stewart makes way, and Paddy Kavanagh comes on.
And on with him comes great pace, great energy. I think it's a very, very good substitution on Rovers' behalf.
First goal he scored for Shamrock Rovers was against UCD in the Cup. Is he going to be a Cup final talisman? 6 months at Birmingham City, where Keith Fahey has made a name for himself. That's a clumsy challenge, and that's going to be a booking. And is this Danny Ventre? Yes, it is. Yellow card for the Sligo Rovers captain.
It was more due to fatigue than any intent on his part, I feel, George. I know it's hard for the referee, but I think you have to be mindful of the fact that players are tired and their reactions are a little bit slower. And you see it here. The referee was entitled to book him, I know that.
Sligo Rovers are winning in this area. 5 yellow cards to 3.
They've been winning all game in that area, George.
Now the crowd has found its voice again as we approach half-time and extra time. It's Doyle to send it back, and Pat Flynn delivers it to Manus.
Sligo Rovers
goalkeepers feel it too. They may not run about as much, but
no,
the tension.
It's the mental tension. Yes, it's just as tiring.
A bit risky by Endo. Now it's Pearse, Sligo. Ventre looking for Doyle, just there. Idea was good.
The idea was great. He saw what he wanted to do. Just too much weight on the pass. As well as that, Doyle isn't as mobile as he was earlier in the game. You can see the gap there. It's a terrific ball, apart from the extra pace on it.
Twig, lovely touch, but Ventre did almost enough. Knocked on by Turner. Now it's Twig for Dennehy. And Kelly has to come for that. And the keeper took it well. Bumped by Paddy Kavanagh.
It was good goalkeeping nonetheless, George. He made his mind up, he came for it, and he got it. And his centre halves and his defence will be very, very happy with his performance.
Additional minute at the end of this first period of extra time.
So Craig Sibbers, after he headed that ball, George, I think he wanted to go home to bed. He's so shattered.
Whoever wins this cup, they're going to have to dig deep to celebrate it tonight. The players on the pitch have certainly given it absolutely everything, but nothing between the sides. Dennehy. It's Bradley and Turner. Dennehy facing Davron. Davron did his job. It's out for a throw. And we're nearly on the blow for half-time and extra time. And indeed, there is the whistle. So 15 minutes to go in extra time. It's still 0-0. Sligo Rovers 0, Shamrock Rovers 0. We haven't heard from the lads in studio for a bit. Peter, it's all yours.
Thank you very much indeed, George. So half-time at the Aviva in extra time, and it's still scoreless. And Tony, I'll ask you first of all, have Sligo Rovers blown their chance because they should have possibly won it during the 90?
Yeah, they had an awful lot of chances in the game itself in the 90 minutes, and they'll be kicking themselves for some of the finishing, which has been quite poor in and around the 6-yard box in particular. Having said that, you know, they're still the side on top. It looks like Rovers are content to sit back and play for penalties at this stage. Sligo are still the ones trying to dictate the game, but my prediction, Peter, is that we'll be lucky to finish with 11 men apiece, the way this referee is raising his arm with yellow cards every couple of minutes.
Quite a few bookings so far, 8 in the game, and it hasn't been a dirty affair, that's for sure. Roddy, does this have penalties written all over it? Am I tempting fate by saying that?
I think you are tempting fate. I think, you know, at this particular moment, Rovers, Shamrock Rovers are flagging. I think the only outlet they're going to have is going to come from Dennehy. He's showing that has any running left in his legs. We need to get Desi Baker on the ball from Shamrock Rovers' point of view. McCabe, he's my man. I said at half time, give him the ball, he'll create a problem. I'm sure he could get them a goal.
Richie, a word from you before we hand back to George and Damien.
Repeat what I said, but very entertaining. Sligo will be disappointed they didn't finish the chances, but if I was Paul Cook speaking to them now, I'd just stress the fact that they are the ones creating the chances. So to remain positive, the 15 minutes to win it.
And of course, tired legs out there as well. There's always the likelihood of a mistake.
They are. I mean, George mentioned it there. The fear of failure and fear of being the one to cost your team the cup will now start kicking in.
Okay, they're ready to restart. The second half of extra time about to get underway. Let's rejoin Damien and George.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, so Shamrock Rovers will be attacking Havelock Square End, the end where their supporters are gathered. 36,101 at this FAI Ford Cup final, the first in the new venue, on the old venue, so to speak, the Aviva Stadium. And the fans really want a resolution from play and not a penalty shootout. Shamrock Rovers then right to left, Sligo Rovers defend. It's come out then to Bradley, and now Dennehy facing Davron. Dennehy's run it out of play. It's good play with the fullback too. Show him the touchline, let him try and take it down.
Davron's been quite superb, George. But Paul Cook has made a tactical change. He's pushed Joseph Ndo up front and brought John Russell back into the middle of the park, making a 4-4-2, which could be a very, very wise move. Or is there something on here for Shamrock Rovers? Well, Bocco covered well there. It's now McCabe and Doe. McCabe trying to get in there. This is the bad ball. Stevens, Bocco taking advantage, and Doe. Sibbes, a little shimmy to take himself free, and then back it goes to Manis. Won by Loughlin, back again it goes by Turner. Davron will accept the throw. Shamrock Rovers are keeping a good shape about them, keeping that back four, midfield four, and the two front men working the best they can, trying to ensure that they don't make mistakes, they don't hand Sligo this FAI Ford Cup. I think it's very sensible at this stage of the game, and Sligo for their part really still want to play, and I still think they've got to get the ball to Joseph Ndo. Now that he's moved up front, give him the ball and see can he produce that magical qualities that he have in and around the most important area of all.
Jerry Carr, Sligo's assistant, is with Tony O'Donoghue.
What did you say to them in that last break?
We just had a little chat, told them keep doing what we're doing. So, you know, we've passed it quite well. You know, I thought we kept possession very well. Not many opportunities, but we're still hopeful of trying to open them up. There's a lot of tired legs out there. You can see that on both teams. Just, you know, from sitting there watching it in the session, I think we look a little bit fresher. I'm not saying we're fitter or whatever, but we'll see. We'll see. I still think we'll have one or two chances in this last period.
13 minutes to go. Jerry Carr with Tony O'Donoghue, Sligo's assistant manager.
Positive sentiments, George. Very positive sentiment. And in half-time and injury time, you really want that positive attitude from your manager and coaches. I think Michael O'Neill also was very positive because his team are still in this game in a big way.
His captain, Stephen Rice, was down with a bit of trouble there, but he's back on his feet. Gavin Pearce, Alan Kane, and Romo Bucco. Oh, through the legs of Stevens and away from the challenge then of Kavanagh, and that's gone out for a throw.
Well, we're disappointed in the Sligo end. We're looking for a corner kick there.
But they don't have Stephen Rice to hurl them long. Bucco, and Doe, and Kane, cleverly past Baker. And now Ventry for Bucco, and Bucco for Ndo, and Kane runs on to take a defender out of the way. And then it's Russell, a foul there. Russell fouled by Civez. A free kick to Sligo. They may have got what they wanted out of this.
Well, they were probing, certainly. It's unclear there whether there was contact with the ball or not by Civez, but irrespective of it all, it's a great position for a free kick, particularly at this stage of the game.
6 Sligo Rovers players are up there. And Doe will take the free kick.
There's that gap between the defence and the goalkeeper that's anticipating a good ball in.
Free kick to come from Ndo. Oh, he's gone for the short one, and the shot came in from Kane, and it's not cleared. A chance. Oh, that was Loughlin. Wind himself up for the shot, but never got in. And more cramp problems. Gary McCabe of Sligo struggling a little, but they're on the ball. Russell did that well. Now it's Ndo. Waiting his moment, and then decided to take on Turner. Still Ndo, so difficult to dislodge. Alan Kane. Bucco. Ndo. Holding off Stevens. Oh, clever little ball for Kane, and he's fouled. Stephen Bradley's been booked already. He's going to be sent off. So the red card comes out in the cup final. And it's Stephen Bradley of Shamrock Rovers, and they'll end with 10 men.
This was an effort of pure fatigue, George. He gave in to the fatigue, Stephen. His body won out over his mind. He committed himself to this. He knew it was the wrong thing to do, and he could not stop himself because he was such a tired individual.
Well, there have been a lot of red cards in this match. That was the yellow cards, I should say. That was the 9th. Stephen Bradley makes the long, slow walk. He doesn't want to go, and he has to. So Bradley is being ushered to the side by the referee, and they're thinking of sending on Aidan Price, their regular centre half. 10 men for Shamrock Rovers for the last 10 minutes of extra time. Ndo. And here's Kane. Oh, just past the post. Caught the side net. Manis was stretching, and it caught the side net.
Manis was stretching despairingly, George. He would never have got there, would he? He hit it really well. And I was just moving away from the keeper all the way. No, I don't think he would have got that had it been on target. Again, so close for Sligo, so close, but yet.
Well, Aidan Price is being sent on for the last 9 minutes, and it's Desi Baker, who went on as a substitute, who's being sacrificed. And now that's interesting, because Desi Baker, if it goes to penalties, would surely have been one who would have taken a penalty. But maybe Michael O'Neill is thinking, we can't think about penalties until we get there. We can't get beaten.
Yes, exactly. His first priority is the moment. Desi is a penalty taker. Stephen Bradley is a penalty taker. but he does not want to concede a goal between now and the end of the game, and he'll take whatever he gets from the penalties if and when they come.
What a way to end your career. Desi Baker, his last match before retirement, and he ends coming on as a substitute and being substituted as a substitute.
Throughout extra time, it's been Sligo who have always looked the more likely to score. I don't think that's going to alter.
No substitutions for Sligo, and we're within 8 minutes of the end of the 2 hours of football.
Well, again, it reflects the difference between the two clubs at the present time, George. One is well equipped to have a very, very potent, very strong squad. The other one isn't.
Well, Sligo now against the 10 men. Do they go for it, or do they play on for penalties? Well, Bocco's away. A man down, caught as the ball was played free. Bocco for Rindeau. Bocco stopped and fouls Stevens. Free kick to Shamrock Rovers.
Joseph Rindeau has been given a free role by manager Paul Cook. He's playing up front, he's coming back. He's going to be wherever he can to get hold of that ball for Sligo and try and produce the all-elusive pass.
Tony O'Donoghue, sorry Damien, but Tony O'Donoghue's got the Shamrock Rovers manager Michael O'Neill.
Michael, have you practiced penalties? Have you decided who's going to take them, and would you settle for that now?
Well, we'll have to settle for it now. I've been down to 10 men, to be honest. You know what I mean? We've looked a wee bit tired, extra time, to be honest. But, you know, the boys have been fantastic, and we'll take our chances and penalties if we can get there. But equally, if we can get a chance, we'll take that as well. I thought it was a bit harsh to send it off, you know. He had a great game, Stephen Bradley, a bit harsh on him, but we'll have to deal with it. Thank you.
So Shamrock Rovers attack. The clock ticks on, just over 5 minutes to go. And that's out for a goal kick.
Again, it's in Shamrock Rovers, it's not too complicated. Get the ball into the box. As long as you've got Gary Twigg on your side, he is still capable of producing something, even at this stage of the game. But I still feel, as everybody understands, Shamrock Rovers is just looking to play these last few minutes out.
Kane. And now Bocco. Oh, Doyle just didn't get the touch. He knows perhaps have been firmer there. That might have been it. Now, opportunity perhaps for Sligo. It's all very difficult. Late in the day, it's Joseph Rindeau. Taken on by Kane. Good tackle, and the ball is still in play. But and the Stevens feels the pain again. There's two of them down. This is the walking wounded now. It's Rindeau on for Kane. Stevens hobbles to his feet. Sligo still have a man on the deck. Comes back towards Rindeau. Davern. Bocco was the player down. He's back on his feet now. One last sortie. Well, there's still 5 minutes to go. There might be more than one last. McCabe now for Ventre. Ventre on for Bocco. Bocco swinging it in. Doyle trying to get there, headed away by Sivis, who's feeling the strain as well. It's Davern now for Sligo. In goes Doyle. It's headed away by Price. Now out to Kane. Kane's shot, and it's gone over the bar.
Not what Sligo Rovers wanted from Alan Kane. He wanted more patience, keep the pressure on Shamrock Rovers, keep probing, keep testing, see does somebody break. This lets Shamrock Rovers off the hook.
Well, that was too high. Substitution for Sligo there first, and it's Conor O'Grady, the club captain, so disappointed not to be in the lineup at the outset, is going to take the place of the man who led the team on the day, Danny Ventre. Fresh legs and a great cheer from the Sligo fans for their talisman. swap, straight swap in the midfield. Ventry goes, and on his place comes O'Grady. Sligo in possession. Davern plays it forward. That's a foul. Foul by on Civis by Doyle.
Giving it the other way around? Is he giving it? Yes,
he's given it. He penalised Doyle. He's given it the challenge on Civis. Civis will play on through the pain and the blood. Minutes tick away. And we can tell you that when the 15 minutes are up, there'll be 2 additional. So there is time to win it in extra time. Kane. Bocco. And it's going to be a throw into Sligo Rovers off Stevens. Helped on by O'Grady. Davern. Irla Davern has got for a shot. Still it's Davern. Davern. Oh, he's found it through to Doyle. Doyle back now to Indo. Indo was meant there for Bocco. And it's put out of play by Kavanagh. Now it's another attack for Sligo. It's King over the top towards Indo, cleared away but only as far as O'Grady. In the final minute of extra time, Indo on there for Kane. Kane still back, it goes for Bocco to cross it. Bocco couldn't find the ball when he had to, and Stevens clears away. It's Pearce down then for Loughlin. Gavin Pearce, 2 additional minutes confirmed. Pearce. Indo. O'Grady. Indo. Ball came free. Davern looking for Doyle. It came off Doyle's head. It's away, but his referee's given a foul. Free kick. Free kick to Shamrock Rovers. Well, we're in additional time at the end of extra time. Damien, this is the moment for the man of the match.
Well, Craig Civis and then Irla Davern have been excellent all the way through the game. Indeed, as everybody. But the man I think has had most influence all the way through the game has been Joseph Indo. I think he's shown everything about what a good footballer is all about.
World Cup player for Cameroon in 98 and 02. 21 caps for his country. And on this day, the 14th of November, 2010, he's the FAI Ford Man of the Match. And the last chance has come to Shamrock Rovers, it would appear. They have a free kick. This quite likely the last attack. And Kelly's underneath it, and Kelly's stretching. He was fouled. It's a free kick. Free kick to Sligo Rovers.
Well, that would have been just typical of Shamrock Rovers, wouldn't it, George, to win it at this stage again? But he was touched, there's no doubt about that.
That's it all over. We've got a penalty shootout for the second time in 3 years. An FAI Cup final that had everything but goals. And the 2 managers congratulate each other on 2 perfectly prepared teams that just couldn't be separated over 120 minutes of football. high drama and historic first FAI Ford Cup final in the Aviva Stadium. A first sending off in that first Cup final, and the first of those since 2007 when Pat Sullivan, ironically, was sent off for Longford against Cork. But what a day.
What a great day. And we have to compliment both teams, George, because whilst fatigue hit them very, very hard, there was no reduction in the quality or the attitude. And it's been a terrific game, end-to-end all the way through. Sligo Rovers have been excellent as we expect, but Shamrock Rovers have shown the qualities that have taken them to the first league title in 16 years. They've been so concentrated, so well organised, so committed to the cause. And I compliment the managers, the players, and indeed the supporters of both clubs. It's been a terrific afternoon.
Well, we've got a penalty shootout to come. It's not over yet. And just as happened in 2008, when Bohemians and Derry City played out a 2-2 draw, the RDS and Bows won 4-2 on penalties. We now see what the outcome will be here. Who will be the hero, who will be the villain? Well, while the formalities are gone through, I'm sure in studio they might not have wished for a penalty shootout, but it's going to just add to the drama of the occasion.
Well, no, it may not have been the first thing on the agenda here, a penalty shootout, but there is no doubt about it. We're getting great value for our money for our visit to the Aviva Stadium for the FAI Ford Cup final of 2010, and it's come down to a penalty shootout. And the first thing we must mention, Richie, is that before the game it is decided as to which goal the penalties will be scored or indeed missed, and it's at the end where the Sligo Rovers fans are congregated. So, is that an advantage for Sligo going for the penalty shootout?
I don't think so. I mean, they might, again, we see pictures of them now, they're all huddling together on the halfway line. Paul Cook might look to mention those things to motivate his players. If I was out there, I wouldn't register with me where anyone was, whether my fans are behind the goal was shooting at or not. They must be knackered. I mean, again, both managers, not just Paul Cook, will be complimenting his players for getting this far, for doing the job that they did, but are a few minutes away now from somebody being very, very, very disappointed.
Roddy, a lot of pressure on both goalkeepers. Or no, really, no pressure on keep. That's what I meant to say. No pressure on the keepers because they're not expected to save penalties. But what about Kieran Kelly and Alan Manus? A big role to play, though, in the penalty shootout.
And Alan Manus, in fairness, kept them in the game. We can talk about chances that Sligo missed, but Alan Manus was superb, took off 2 fantastic saves. And just going back to George on the commentary about heroes and villains, there are no villains. They're all heroes, even the kid that was sent off, Bradley. I mean, when it comes this far, there's going to be someone bitterly disappointed tonight that someone's going to miss a penalty kick. They're going to lose the cup because of it. But whoever he is, absolutely, he's not a villain.
Johnny?
I think Damien summed it up nicely in the commentary box. I think both managers need a lot of credit. I would say that Paul Cook would be the more disappointed of the two. His team dictated the game for long periods in that, and you know they had the majority of the chances, just couldn't finish it off even in that last 15 minutes of the second period of extra time. So they'll be disappointed. Hopefully they get over that into the penalty shootout, and you know, anything can happen. It's Russian roulette really when you enter the penalty shootout stage, so I wish both teams the best of luck.
Yes, excuse the cliche, but it is a lottery from here on in. Who will be the hero, who will be the villain on this wonderful day at the Aviva Stadium on Lansdowne Road. It's time to go back to George now for the penalty shootout.
Well, yes, now it's anybody's really, isn't it? Shamrock Rovers have won the cup more than any other team. They've going for their 7th double. 24 times they've won the FAI Cup. But if you're looking for consolation, Sligo Rovers have lost twice to Shamrock Rovers in the final. The only other shootout was between Bohemians and Derry City, and they are the two teams that Sligo Rovers beat to win their 2 FAI Cups.
I don't know what you mean there, George, which way to go. But, I mean, to me, this is all mental. I always say penalty kicks under normal circumstances are like putting in goal. It's a state of mind. And now more than ever, the state of mind that the manager created in the players in that little gap before we went into the penalties will be vitally important. Who has the mental strength, the belief, the courage to go ahead and take this cup?
Owen Doyle, who scored the first goal last season at Tala in the cup final against Sporting Fingal, put them 1-0 up. They lost 2-1. There was a penalty given away by Kieran Kelly, the goalkeeper, that let Fingal back into it. It's Doyle against Alan Manus, the Northern Ireland international goalkeeper, for the first penalty. No mistake.
Psychologically an important moment. Gary Twigg has the long walk up, George. Would you trust anybody better than this man, though?
Gary Twigg, 50 competitive goals for Shamrock Rovers in their final home game against Drogheda. He's only scored 2 goals in the cup. How is he from 11 metres? Well, Kieran Kelly has prevented it, and Gary Twigg.
Poor penalty, George. Tired man, out with injury, not been training, totally acceptable and understandable. The keeper, though, deserves great credit. Went the right way and got a good hand to it.
The penalty has to go in straight away. You can't follow up, as it would be the case in the match. So it's 1-0 to Sligo. Twigg has missed his penalty. And Alan Manus is saved. So Manus puts Shamrock Rovers right back into it. Alan Kane can't believe it.
A good height for the keeper to save. If you look at this, keeper gets there very, very easily. That could have been a knife in the heart of Shamrock Rovers at Sligo score there.
Kane has scored his 2 cup goals from the penalty spot, but he couldn't do it here. So it's still 1-0. And Pat Flynn saved. 2 out of 2 for Kieran Kelly, the man who gave away a penalty in the cup final last year that let Sporting Fingal equalise and go on to win, has saved 2 in the shootout.
Could it be the team with 3 goalkeepers win the cup? Great save again. Got down quickly, made his mind up, got good hands there.
Conor O'Grady now only on the pitch for 8 minutes, the final 8 minutes of extra time against Alan Manus, who's conceded the only one to succeed so far. O'Grady, and he's put it past the post. Right. So it's still 1-0 and we've had 5 penalties.
We haven't seen anything like this, George, in an FAI Cup final before. Poor Conor, bad decision, bad technique.
Now it's Chris Turner. Is it to be 3 failures out of 3? 3 saves for Kieran Kelly. Chris Turner against Kelly, who must be feeling 9 miles high, and he saved it too! Brilliant goalkeeping! And how did he do that? He was on his way left. He's so full of confidence, so pumped up, he could keep himself standing tall to the last possible minute, and that was straight down the middle, and he saved it.
That was, you're right, one word, brilliant. All the other penalties dived, either right or left, been very successful. That time, for some reason, he decided to stand tall, as if he read the intentions of Turner to knock it through the middle of the goal. Absolutely brilliant goalkeeping.
Now, this is the 4th. Each side has 2 more penalties than the regulation. Gary McCabe, who was top scorer as Bray Wanderers finished bottom of the league last year against Alan Manus. Oh, that's a great penalty. That is a great penalty. Gary McCabe makes it 2-0 to Sligo Rovers. Shamrock Rovers only have 2 left. If they miss this one, it's all over.
Great penalty, calmness personified, up in the air, away from the goalkeeper, a good dive. It has to be said by Manus, almost there, but no chance of that goal.
Another extra time substitute, Paddy Kavanagh against the goalkeeper who saved all 3. Kavanagh has to score this, and the cup's on its way to Sligo, and it is! It is! Kieran Kelly has won the cup for Sligo Rovers. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Paddy Kavanagh is denied. Not brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It's brilliant, 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 brilliant. 4 saves out of 4. And Kieran Kelly, the man who last season gave away the penalty that let Fingal back into it, has made 4 saves. Has there been a 100% record in a shootout like that? That is just sensational. Sligo Rovers needed only 2. Owen Doyle and Gary McCabe. And they've won the cup for only the 3rd time. And Shamrock Rovers have been denied their double.
Well, you've got to feel for Shamrock Rovers. You look at the players in the centre of the pitch, they are devastated. You look up the other end of the pitch, the Sligo Rovers players, and it is excitement everywhere. A most unlikely hero in Kieran Kelly, but you have to say, it could very well be a record, George, but it is a magnificent performance by the goalkeeper of sheer concentration. He set his standards, he set his high standards, and he met those high standards. And his saves were nothing short of, the word you used quite rightly, was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, this is just terrific for Sligo Rovers. It's been such a match. The first occasion in the Aviva Stadium. The disappointment the champions must be feeling is immense. But you can't but feel for Sligo Rovers and what journey they have been on, and to end it as they did, with last year's villain, this year's hero.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I think it's a great boost for the football club itself and for professional football in the west of Ireland. Indeed, football at all levels in the west of Ireland. Everybody is full of congratulations to Shamrock Rovers. They put in a terrific effort here today, but Sligo were the better team overall. They're the ones who deserve the cup on the day, it has to be said, and not even the most staunch Shamrock Rovers fans could have any arguments with that whatsoever.
Kieran Kelly in the team because the regular goalkeeper Richard Brush has a broken wrist. Richard Brush with a sentimental place on the bench as a second replacement goalkeeper. Gets his medal. But the man who stood between the posts this afternoon has delivered the most stunning performance in the shootout. And the Mayo man, Kieran Kelly, stands tall and denies Gary Twigg, Pat Flynn, Chris Turner and Paddy Kavanagh to win the cup for Sligo Rovers.
I just wonder, were they holding my man of the match, Joseph Doe, in hand for the final penalty? But he didn't take a penalty, and I see him walking there to receive his award.
Well, it all happened down on the pitch, and that's where Tony O'Donoghue is now.
Paul Cook, congratulations.
Tony, you won us last year, and we took defeat well. We were very gracious in defeat. I feel for Shamrock Rovers today, but it's our day. I'm so proud of everyone at my football club, my players, my staff, my committee, and look at the people from Sligo. You know, it's a great day for Irish football. I feel like we're going to have some big battles with Shamrock Rovers. They're a quality club with a quality manager and a good team. But today's our day, I'm so proud.
Where did you watch the penalty shootout? Because you went into the tunnel.
I never do, Tom. I'm in the backyard. I just want to go see our supporters now, Tony.
Before you do, talk about your goalkeeper. He saved 4 of them. It's extraordinary.
It's the best in the world.
Well, even Tony O'Donoghue can't keep up with Paul Cook.
Now that's something. If he keeps Tony O'Donoghue. But he's right. It's a great pick-up for Sligo, isn't it? And I think this will launch him, George, into being a big club again. I can see them challenging Shamrock Rovers for leagues and cups in the future.
I know you said when we were reflecting at the end of the league season that Sligo Rovers were the coming men. It had been Shamrock Rovers and Bows, and eventually in goal difference it was Shamrock Rovers. But Shamrock Rovers have won the league. Sligo have won the cup. Michael O'Neill is with Tony O'Donoghue.
Michael, have you ever seen a penalty shootout like that? Extraordinary.
Well, I thought I was going to finish 1-0 at one point, to be honest. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the lottery. And, you know, the goalkeeper makes 4 saves. We asked the players to hit the target. They did that. But the goalkeeper makes 4 saves. And congratulations to Sligo. You know, they had the hardship of losing last year in the last few minutes. And, you know, they've bounced back. And, you know, they're deserving winners today.
Over the 90 minutes and then indeed over the 120 minutes, do you think you did enough to deserve it?
I think we deserved enough to get to the shootout. I don't think I think both teams had periods in the game where they were dominant. Both teams had chances, and at the end of the day, you know, it was decided on the penalties. Once it goes to that, it's hard to. It's really hard to say, like, you know, whether it's deserved or not. But you know, Sligo, they've had a great season. You know, as I say, they had the hardship or the heartbreak of last year, and they've come back. So we have to just congratulate them.
You've had a pretty good season yourself, though.
Yeah, we're delighted. You know, a bit disappointing, obviously, when it sinks in the day, the chance to do the double. It's not to be, but you know, we'll come back next year. We'll come back as champions, and we'll aim to defend that.
Michael,
thanks, Tony. Cheers.
Well, they won their first FAI Cup in 1983 by beating a Dublin club. Bohemians 2-1. They beat Derry City 1-0 in 1994. And now it will go down as a draw, 0-0. But the cup goes to Sligo because of Kieran Kelly's magnificence. 4 saves, and they know he's the man who, whatever they did from the spot, it was him. And a magnificent performance between the posts to deny Shamrock Rovers any opportunity of winning the cup for the 25th time. Twice these two had met in the FAI Cup final, way back when, in 1940, when they lost to Shamrock Rovers, Sligo did, and then in 1978, when they lost once again to Shamrock Rovers. A penalty, disputed penalty, decided that one 32 years ago, but now they've won it on penalties, and they've gone to applaud the Shamrock Rovers fans.
Yes, I think it's been a very sporting cup final, George, despite the plethora of yellow cards. I think listening to Michael O'Neill speak there, how gracious he is in defeat, as Paul Cook was last season. It's a very unforgiving game, this. The emotions can be so high one moment and then so low the next. But we have to congratulate everybody connected with this afternoon today, from Sligo and Shamrock Rovers. It has been a terrific occasion.
Here, here. And how awful is that? They got to walk past that trophy that they hoped to win for the 25th time, that they hoped would complete a double for them, but it wasn't to be. So it's medal for Gary Twigg as a runner-up. He's got a championship medal, but that won't feel like much on this afternoon. Aidan Price, an unhappy walk for the Shamrock Rovers players, that they have to make past that cup, bedecked in the red and white of Sligo Rovers. Tommy Stewart and Neil Fenn, who was an unused substitute, and Billy Dennehy and Danny Murphy. And they're all unhappy, I'm sure. Pat Jennings, son of the great Pat Jennings, it's a runners-up medal for him, and Alan Manus, who kept going. Desi Baker's last involvement in senior football, and Chris Turner, a runners-up medal for him too. But they, at this point, are the extras, because the stars of the show now are the Sligo Rovers team, and it's their moment as their fans are still amassed at the Lansdowne Road end.
The winners of the FAI Ford Cup 2010, Sligo Rovers.
And their fans must have felt they would never hear that. It's the disappointments they've had down the years. Sligo Rovers with just 2 FAI Cups from all the years since the end of the 30s, when they first appeared in an FAI Cup final. And now there's happiness for them. Happiness, delight, all those emotions wrapped up in one. No 7th double for Shamrock Rovers, but a 3rd FAI Cup for Sligo in this, their 9th FAI Cup final. Kieran Kelly, the big man from Mayo. Oh yes, he did, you could almost say, more than anybody else to ensure that the cup is theirs. And well, maybe he should have been man of the match, but how can he be man of the match if it happens in the shootout? And I think on balance over the piece, it was Alan Manus and Shamrock Rovers who had more saves to make. Yes. But through they go with their winners' medals. Joseph Ndo, World Cup player for Cameroon, just getting ready to receive his medal. Paddy McCall. I can't believe that. What a great moment for Joseph Ndo, all the successes that he's had in Irish football, and now he's got an FAI Cup medal with Sligo Rovers to add to his collection. Paddy McCall, the president of the FAI, is making the presentations. It's actually, thinking about it, Billy Dennehy wishes he was there. That's the pain of the occasion. But those are the players who are there of Sligo Rovers. I was thinking of all the things that Joseph Ndo's won. It's his first FAI Cup.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, looking at Billy Denny there, you see what it means, because everybody wants to get their hands on a medal from the FAI Cup. The feeling, I can guarantee you, George, of losing today creates a great emptiness in you that has taken a long, long time to fill.
Well, they felt that last year, just 12 months ago, in the wind and the rain in Tala. They were beaten by Sporting Fingal, but now it's theirs. And they know they will be legends in Sligo, that is for sure, the years to come. Tony Fagan was one of those presented at half-time there.
Yes.
Great Sligo Cup winner of the past. And now these men, the Sligo Rovers squad, of 2010 have emulated the men of 1983 and Tony Fagan's year in 1994.
Well, we know there'll be some celebrating in Sligo, George, because that's a town that knows how to celebrate.
The captain of Sligo Rovers is Conor O'Grady. Came on as a substitute for Danny Ventre, who wore the armband through the game. And Danny Ventre and Conor O'Grady are in the middle of that somewhere, awaiting the presentation by the representatives of Ford and the FAI. Here it is, 2010, the FAI Ford Cup is won by Sligo Rovers. The ticker tape explodes and the cup is on its way to Sligo. As you could say, the West's awake.
The West will be awake for a few days at least, George. I'm delighted with Conor O'Grady. He's been a terrific player in the league here for many, many years, and this is a great reward for what's been a terrific career.
Oh, delight. The stadium is emptied of Shamrock Rovers fans, but this is Sligo Rovers' moment. And Paul Cook can enjoy the moment. It's certainly one of the great football towns, and they have some celebrating to do now. Third in the league, and now the FAI Ford Cup to add to it.
The celebrations will go on, George. The next thing for them is the responsibility the success will bring, how to invest in this team and in this manager. The people running Sligo Rovers have now got a very important few months ahead of them.
The cup is passed around, the bubbles flow, and there he is, Kieran Kelly. Oh, that's a little bit of a dance for the man from Cameroon, and why not?
I should have given man of the match just for the dance.
Everybody's joining in. Well, this is a moment and a half. And the 34-year-old Joseph Bado congratulates his manager and thanks him for setting up his very first FAI Cup winners medal. Well, what a day we've had in the Aviva Stadium. An historic first FAI Ford Cup final. It ended scoreless, but the penalty shootout means the Cup's on its way to Sligo by 2-0.
Yes, the war of the Rovers was a colourful one. Not only was there red against green, but there was a touch too much yellow as well. But no one struck gold in normal time. And Bradley saw red in extra time. 4 successful penalty saves claimed the silver for Sligo Rovers. And you're very welcome back to the Aviva Stadium, and what a dramatic afternoon we've had. Sligo Rovers have claimed their third FAI Ford Cup final victory by beating Shamrock Rovers on penalties, and what a dramatic shootout it was. Before we get to see that very shortly, we're going to have a quick chat. First of all, Tony, reflect on what has been a great afternoon, and was justice done in the end?
I think so. You hear that there's never justice in football, but sometimes there is. I think Sligo, the amount of chances they created in the game today, particularly after what happened to them in the final last year when they were pipped at the very end of that game, I think it is a bit of poetic justice for them. And, you know, I think the way they played the game, the way they approached the game, the enthusiasm that their supporters brought today, 36,000 people today, it's just been a fantastic occasion. And you've got to commend both sets of players, actually, to the way they approached the game. And, you know, nerves didn't get to them at all. Perhaps in the penalty shootout, okay, but up until that, it didn't at all. And I, for one, I was exhausted watching the game. You know, it was a great spectacle, and you got to congratulate both sets of players and the managers.
Yeah, and the supporters as well made a great sense of occasion about it as well. Roddy, your overall view of the final?
Overall, great spectacle. I think the team, I feared for Sligo before the game. I thought they were very thin on the ground on the bench, and that was proven the opposite, because they only made one late change in the whole game. I felt Shamrock Rovers, the later the game went, they flagged a lot. They used the 3 substitutions. The Baker one I thought was a very, very important one that didn't work. It backfired completely. The sending off I didn't think made any bearing on the game because they were bogged down anyway at that late stage. Sligo Rovers approached the game the way they do in every game. They went to win the game, and if you win it with a set piece, open play, or penalties through, you know, and I said there's no heroes or villains. We've a superhero in goal for Kelly for Sligo today. Overall, great spectacle. When you settle down tomorrow and reflect on it, I think everybody, even the Shamrock Rovers people, will accept that Sligo edged it on the open plate.
Yeah, and I suppose they have the consolation, quite a consolation it is too for Shamrock Rovers, that they are the league champions for 2010. But on this particular afternoon, it belonged to Sligo Rovers. And just before the extra time finished, Damien nominated his man of the match. It was, of course, Joseph Endo, and he's now speaking with Tony.
Congratulations, Joseph, the FAI Ford man of the match for 2010. Not bad for a man of your age.
Yeah, I think first of all, I want to thank God for the season we have. I think we didn't have too much injury that helped us to keep going with the same player, because we didn't have a big squad. So second of all, I would like to have a thought for Bohemians and the players and Pat Fenlon. The season was very difficult for them, and Pat is a very good friend of mine, and I just hope that the team will sort things out. Now the season we have is amazing how it's end up today with the panel, because even if we win, we're going to be happy, but now it's more than happy. We are so happy. It's amazing.
You've never won the FAI Cup. You've won almost everything else in your career, so it must be very special for you.
You forgot about the Champions League. Why you say just the FA Cup? Yeah, I think it's something I was looking for. It's the only medal I didn't have, so now I think I have everything. I still need the Champions League. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's on the way too. Congratulations, Joseph. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yes, a top man and a top player, Joseph Endo, the man of the match for the 2010 FAI Ford Cup final. But I suppose if the man of the match award was being given after the penalty shootout, it's probably only going to go to one man. An extraordinary performance by Kieran Kelly. I've never seen that before in a penalty shootout. 4 saves.
I hadn't. No, even at the percentage overall of penalties that were missed. I'll go back actually to before the penalty shootout. George and Damien both said, no one wants to see penalties. They said the panel wouldn't want to see it. Even you said it. I was delighted it got the penalties. I mean, the best team won, probably the best player in the league got man of the match. And as Tony said, justice was done. But it was great entertainment. And it was everyone watching at home as well. It was a brilliant way to finish the game in terms of entertainment. I don't have a bias for either club. So, great afternoon's entertainment, but absolutely astonishing performance by the goalkeeper. I've never seen it before. I mean, he's only in the team because of an injury to a teammate. Marvellous stuff.
I have to say, Richie, I was in two minds about the penalties.
Really?
I have to admit, I wasn't sure. I sat on the fence on that one, but that's what I'm here for. It's your opinions that matter, okay? And the opinion of Kieran Kelly is very important as well, and Tony's caught up with him now.
What an extraordinary end to an FAI Cup final. I don't think anyone could have written that script. Joseph Endo was given the man of the match before the end of the 120 minutes. Maybe if he'd waited till the end of the penalty shootout, you might have got it.
Listen, it was either myself or Alan was going to be the hero, so I just came inside and composed myself once the final whistle blew, and I said to myself, just concentrate on his run up, pick a corner, go for it. And I don't know why I stood for Chris Turner's shot. Last year, played when he was with Dundalk, he hit one down the middle, and I was annoyed after the penalty because his run up, I knew his run up, and he did the same run up again. So I said, I'm staying. I don't know why I just stood. So lucky you guess.
But to save one is pretty good. To save two, to save four is pretty extraordinary.
Let's just say I was lucky.
Now, I saw you come down the tunnel in between the end of the extra time and the penalties. As you say, you were gathering your thoughts. Did you say a prayer? Did you have a look at some iPod material? What did you do?
No, it's always something I do when I go into a penalty shootout. I always come off the pitch. I did it since I was, 8-10 years ago, whatever. And I always do when I'm in a penalty shootout, just to compose myself. A few deep breaths, clear all this atmosphere out of my brain, because at the end of the day, I just go on what their run-ups are and just trying to guess their techniques.
Well, you guessed right, and Sligo are the champions. Congratulations to you, Kieran. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yes, congratulations to Kieran Kelly. A magnificent performance in that penalty shootout, and it certainly helped Sligo Rovers to the 2010 FAI Ford Cup final. Well, we have just a couple of minutes left, Tony, for reflections. We hoped for a good game. We got that. I suppose we weren't expecting what transpired in the end, were we?
No, but it was a fitting final. I think, coming into the champions of the league, the favourites for the cup from an early stage for a lot of people. And I think, they did the competition justice, and everyone that came and watched this game today justice. 36,000 people, that's unheard of, certainly in my time playing in Irish football and being involved since. And it's incredible. Great stadium. Hopefully it was a great spectacle for those that tuned in. And I think, Damien picked it out in commentary. This league has the potential to be a very, very top league. Hopefully, Clubs get their finances right off the pitch, develop the stadia, because that's what's needed, and people will come to watch the game. I don't want to preach about it today because it's not the time. It's one to celebrate, and I think it was a fantastic occasion, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed it.
Briefly, Roddy?
Briefly, McCabe before the game was my player. I felt strongly about him. The occasion wouldn't get to him, and I think when we go to penalties, we talk about the saves the keepers made, the 2 goal scorers, Doyle and McCabe. McCabe for me, his penalty was exquisite.
Richie?
That was brief for you, wasn't it? No, it was great.
Comedian now today.
What? Again.
And by the way, this will be continued on M&S on Monday night, so Richie, finally.
Best team won. Great day's entertainment.
Okay, that's just about it from all of us here at Lansdowne Road. My thanks to Roddy, Richie and Tony for their company and analysis. On an afternoon when the FAI Ford Cup was wanted in the West, Sligo Rovers have raided the coffers and reaped the reward for the 3rd time in their history. From all of us here, bye-bye.